Comeuppance Network. This is How to Watch TV.
Game of Thrones with Joel and Jeremy. My name's Joel. This vaping master over here is Jeremy. Our special effects department is Jeremy.
I'm Jeremy. We are brought to you by Comeuppance Network. You can check out all of our social media sites at thisishowtowatchtv.com and email us at thisishowtowatchtv@gmail.com.
I should probably check that, huh?
Yeah, you might want to.
I haven't checked that in a long time.
We might have some emails because of Game of Thrones.
Unlikely.
Nah,
unlikely. It's unlikely. Why email?
No,
you could
just do the social media thing.
comment.
Go through Twitter, comment,
on the YouTubes or whatever,
on the YouTube.
Subscribe on iTunes. Check out all the other shows on Comeuppance Network. Lost to Time, Chronologically Joel, our How to Watch TV podcast covering Chronologically Lost. Plenty of things that are content regularly. We are here.
It's really just him yelling at you all the time.
It is pretty much. That is the most accurate. I have to write that down. It's pretty much
just me yelling at you.
just me yelling at you. That's the tagline of Comeuppance Network from now on. Okay, I have to bold that so I find it for later.
We might yell at you here too.
Yeah, we're here to talk about Game of Thrones Season 7, Episode 4, The Spoils of War.
Oh, that's was I never caught the episode title. It didn't give it to you the night of. Did you see that? You didn't notice that?
I saw the episode
Mine
title.
said, no, it didn't say it for me. It didn't even give a description. It just said Game
Which
of
Apple
Thrones.
TV did you start it on?
Huh?
Old one or new one?
The new one.
I watched it on an old one.
Yeah, see, no, on the new one, it didn't even give you a description. It just said Game of Thrones Season 7, Episode 4.
Yeah.
The latest episode of the hit HBO series.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That was it. They didn't give you anything. But that episode title is not even spoilers. I thought they might have did that because it was spoilerish or something. No, it wasn't spoilers.
Yeah, The Spoils of War. Yeah, you just
I
know
get it.
that you're actually going to get to see...
Spoils of War, not a spoiler title.
Right. I did anything happen in this episode? I can't even remember if anything... No, nothing really happened.
Oh, don't be that guy.
It started... so that
like my
being
buddy
said...
who looked at me and said, oh, it was cheesy. I was like, shut the fuck up. It wasn't cheesy. You're a fucking asshole.
Well, no, explain. Why cheesy? Why did they say it was cheesy?
Well, the outstanding reason he gave was not that it was outstanding, but the
reason
stood
that
out was that Daenerys landed and got off her dragon in the middle of a battle. Then he said at some points,
the middle of a battle that she was destroying.
Yeah, I know. He said she at some points looked like she was super tiny on the dragon, and at other points she looked like he's like they didn't get the size right on that. I was like, you're looking too hard, dude. That shit was awesome.
Well, I mean, point to anything else that looks that good. That's in the same realm. Somebody did a really. There's a really great
came around
video.
A little bit when I explained, like after I watched the anatomy of the scene, and was like, dude, like seriously, like pretty much every kind of filmmaking you can think of was used to make that scene. CG effects, fire special effects, explosions, cameras on zip lines that were doing 70 miles an hour across the battlefield. Filming shit to get the dragon shots.
What do they call this? The loot train?
The loot train battle, yeah.
Somebody did a video.
Other things happened in this episode besides that, though.
No, I know. But you mentioned somebody commenting that it was cheesy. So that was the only reason we're talking about it.
Was that not the only person who said that?
No, I was just curious.
Okay.
So the runtime of this episode, I was going to say...
Robert can be overcritical. Critical.
I was just going to say, of all that being said, I was jesting that not much happened. A lot did happen. That being said, the episode was less than 48 minutes, start to finish. And that's not including the 2-minute opening. It started at 2:08, time-wise, and it ended at 50:08. But the show started at 3:56. It was all opening credits, so less than 48 minutes for this episode. Admittedly, a lot was jammed in, but this is the final. Or this is close. I mean, this is basically the final fucking season.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, what are you doing? Like, you couldn't have fit another scene or something in there before the battle to where it filled the episode out 10 more minutes. That's all I'm saying. Like,
yeah, it seems weird.
Something that was low intense. It wasn't. I'm not asking for more CGI craziness.
No, we could have got more of the Arya stuff.
Yeah. Any number of things we could have elaborated
more Winterfell
on.
Stuff we could have got. You're right. There could have been more elaboration.
So that's my only complaint. You're going to
see scenes next week.
We talked about the hollow nature, the way of feeling it's all hollow, right? Did we talk about that on the last podcast, or was I talking to you about it?
I think we've talked about it on the podcast. I don't necessarily feel that way, but
well,
I know
yeah, I mean that sort of. it feels like it's all in the same ballpark. I forgot. I just had a brain fart. Forgot what we were talking about there. Just prior to that. Oh, letting scenes sit, letting us sit in a scene for a little bit longer. You don't have to rush in and out, is all I want to say to the directors. Like, I know there's a limited amount of stuff that they need to tell us still. Like, in their estimation, they have a certain amount of this is all that it needs to be, but just let us sit for a minute in a scene and feel it and last longer than they are. That's all I'm saying. Fill out the episodes more.
I don't know. I mean, I can't necessarily like dispute your argument, but like I don't feel that way. Like I feel like I suppose I'm gonna feel that way when the season ends.
Yeah,
at
in
7
3 episodes.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't feel hollow. I feel like it's been pretty fucking awesome.
Hollow is only in reference to the war. The war feels hollow in the sense that what are they fighting for and who's fighting? It feels like it's children now. Whereas
Well, it is.
before it was adults, and that's all I'm saying. There's a cool line in
Who
here.
are using what they've learned from those adults,
Right.
to do what
but
they
still
do.
in a time period in their lives where they're not going to make the best decisions, the most reasoned decisions, being young and hard-headed and just wanting to do what they think is the right thing. And they have the best intentions, I think, but
Some of them do.
yeah.
Jon Snow and Daenerys. And,
When Sansa and Arya were talking, fuck, what was the thing? I just lost it again. That's why I just don't shut up sometimes, because if I don't say the thing right then, it's gone from my brain. We'll get to that scene and it'll probably
okay.
perk back up in my brain. Anyway, the opening, I was watching the opening this week a little more carefully. I feel like we've been brushing through those, and I haven't really been watching
The opening credits.
the opening credits for detail.
Okay.
You know, because people
I
say,
remember
they
the Winterfell,
show
like the like before, like the Winterfell
Right.
crest being gone and all that. Yeah.
So why did they not acknowledge the key or the thing being blown up in the opening credits in
The Sept?
King's Landing? They don't show. I swear it showed the Sept. Why would they not show it blown up?
Oh.
That's
I never
a
even thought
bummer.
about that.
They
Yeah.
showed Winterfell with the different
The thing on
banners
fire?
and
Yeah.
shit on fire. Like, why wouldn't
They
they
should
show
have
us that
showed
detail?
that with the Sept smoking. Would have been cool. Yeah.
Who's in Pike at the moment?
They're just showing that to represent the Iron Islanders. They're not necessarily there at that
Oh,
point.
that's
Yeah.
Theon and them. Pike.
That's the
Okay,
yes,
that's what I
Pike
was
is the
getting
Iron
at, like,
Islands.
whose
Yeah,
is
that's
it?
the Iron Islands. Right.
Who is Old Town?
That's the
The bank?
no.
No, that's
that's-
Bravos.
Yeah, that's the old town is where Sam is. That's where
Oh,
the Citadel
Maesters.
is,
Gotcha.
yes, where
Okay.
the Maesters
But
are.
we didn't even go there. People were saying that we see in the opening credits usually where we hit in that episode, but we haven't been at the
I don't
wall in
think
a
that's
while.
true.
And yeah, no.
I think it's season. It's
Dude, it
the
changes each episode. The opening credits. I'm telling you.
every single episode.
Every single episode. Something is slightly different. I mean, it's possible two are
Okay.
consecutive, but I've seen changes this season.
I'll have to pay
It'll
more
go to a
attention.
different place or whatever. You know, if we do pop into somebody in Marine, we're going to go to Marine that time. But I think they ran out of locations where people were actively at
Right.
in this.
Well,
so
because
then they
it-
showed us
there's-
the ones
there's-
that applied to Theon or whatever.
Yeah, but there's nothing in Essos anymore.
Right. No, I was giving that as an example.
Right.
If we go to somewhere else in the
Like
you know,
everything's in Westeros now. Like there's no.
but we may stop at the Erie, for example. If we were in the Erie in this episode, they might stop there on their way to the wall instead of skipping over it like they did.
We have to go back and watch. What it might be 2 seasons ago
Mm-hmm.
when Sansa's in the Erie,
Right?
like where they popped in and out of there.
If they showed
If
it
they
in
showed
yeah.
the Erie.
That's
Yeah.
one of those things we need to keep track of on a
Yeah.
rewatch.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't been paying attention to the credits at all during my rewatch. I've just been watching the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bronn and Jamie discuss payment. I'm just kind of I just wrote like the very
Yeah.
basics of the scenes so we could discuss them.
I mean, that's good stuff. I like how they go back and forth a little bit. And he's just like, look at Bronn. Sir Bronn of the Blackwater sitting on his horse with a bag full of gold complaining about not getting paid. But it's true.
Right,
He
he's-
promised him a fucking castle and he's not getting a castle.
He's not being a bitch about it. He's going, yeah, no, that's cool and all. I like gold, but where's the castle?
Not a castle.
Yeah.
Right. You promised me a castle.
Yeah.
How about this one that we just emptied? It's available. You
Jamie
don't want
had
that
a
one.
good point
He did.
because she could just come take it.
Yeah, but they took all the food and gold from there anyway, right?
Right, but presumably you can grow more food there.
Right. Okay. The lands are fertile.
It is a garden. And he's probably thinking there's probably weed there. It's called High Garden. So
Mm-hmm.
he's got to be at least one weed plant growing somewhere. Do you think they have weed in in Westeros?
Oh yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, why not? The halfling's leaf,
Okay.
like in Lord of the Rings.
Right. After that, we go to the Iron Bank stuff with Cersei.
Yep.
Now,
Where she's
what do you think of that stuff about her paying them off in full?
she's trying to raise more money and get more. If she pays them off in full, that means that she's got more credit. See what I'm saying?
I see that
Like,
as
I pay
one
more
angle
credit,
on
like,
it. I have a different.
I have all this gold, but
take
if
on
I
it,
pay it off, they'll maybe loan me more or back me up. Like he said, they would have her support as far as like the gold company or whatever they call them, the mercenaries,
right.
like that can be hired.
Now,
Like,
they mentioned to her, they said, your father never paid in this big of a lump sum before. I think he did that strategically.
absolutely.
Because if he paid them off, what are they not interested in? The Lannisters surviving.
Right.
So when she pays them off, they have no allegiance to the Lannisters anymore.
True. That's a good way to look
They
at it.
have
as well.
no vested interest in seeing them succeed, and so they can get their money back. She's fucking up here. Unless she just kills them and keeps the money and doesn't give a fuck about the Iron Bank, but that's not the Lannister paying their debts.
No.
But I think she's taking it too literally and fucking it up. I think Tywin wouldn't do that on purpose because they then don't care who wins. They could bet on Daenerys then and give her money and back her because they don't need the Lannisters to win. They need the Lannisters to give them that money back. And until they have it, they need to make sure the Lannisters fucking live. Not that to give them more money to try to fight to get it back.
Right. I see what you mean.
Yeah.
That's a good point. That's a good way of thinking about that because, yeah, if all the Lannisters are off, there's nobody to pay that debt. See,
Right.
but that debt is now, okay. In banker terms, would that debt be by the Lannisters or from the Crown?
Lannisters, I think.
Okay.
Well, no, I'm wrong there. The Crown, because the Crown wasn't a Lannister.
No, it was a
Prior.
Baratheon.
Well, wait a minute though. No, so this was Tywin's debt. Not
Okay.
not
Because
the Crown's
the Crown
debt.
was in debt to Tywin.
Right.
Gotcha. That makes more. Okay. That yes.
I'm glad we worked that out because I
Right.
didn't remember that piece
Yeah.
of information, so that's good to know.
Right.
What things is Qyburn referring to that belong that he's going to retrieve that belong to Cersei? I mean, that Cersei talked about. What do you think those things are? She's like, Qyburn is going to retrieve things that are mine. When she was talking to the bank, the only thing I'm concerned with is taking control over the Seven Kingdoms, and I sent Qyburn to go to retrieve some things that are mine. Sansa? Maybe Littlefinger's plotting to help undermine Sansa and get her captured by Cersei again. I mean, I don't know that would be
think of
interesting.
some things
but-
that were taken from her like that.
or stuff that she believes is hers, whether it is or not. I don't know. Think about it. I was just curious.
I thought about that when I was watching the episode.
Uh-huh.
Like that line, I thought about what it was, and I thought I had it, but I guess not.
Littlefinger
This episode's not going all that well, is it?
and no, it's fine. Littlefinger and Bran. We discussed the climb. Talk about that thing.
Oh, when they're sitting there having that conversation, okay.
So he gives him the sword, the knife that or the dagger.
I
that
forget what the line is in this episode about chaos, but he says Littlefinger says the word chaos, and Bran's head kind of snaps up, and he goes, "Chaos is a ladder."
Right.
That's a line that Littlefinger actually said to Varys in the throne room.
Okay.
They have a little meeting right before Littlefinger takes off on his boat to go to the Eyrie to marry Lysa.
Okay. Aaron.
Lysa Arryn. So Littlefinger says to Varys, "Chaos is a ladder," or Varys says to him, "Chaos is a pit that's going to swallow us all," and he says, "Chaos isn't a pit. Chaos is a ladder. Many men try to climb it. Some fail, and they don't get a chance to climb again because the fall breaks them. And some are offered the climb and refuse. They hold on to the realm, the gods,
And love.
and love
Yeah.
all are illusions. Only the ladder exists. Only the climb is real, or something like that along those lines. I
Right.
was like, wow, that was awesome. But
Well,
Bran basically regurgitated that line
that
back
part
at him.
is awesome. The fact that he said it back to him is badass, but the fact that he said it doesn't necessarily make it true.
No,
Because
not
that's
what I'm
sort
saying.
of what
It's
I
an
was
awesome
thinking as you were
line.
saying it. I was like, "Oh fuck, that means it's true." And then I was like, "Oh wait, no, Littlefinger said that. He was
Littlefinger
just,
said it.
He's
It's just
talking
it's
shit.
just talking
he's
shit.
probably
But
mind games.
the way that Bran said that to him, that means to Littlefinger, 'cause, dude, Littlefinger doesn't say shit and forget that he said it.
right,
He's not the type of dude to forget how a conversation.
he's
went
very
down.
careful with his words.
Very careful with his words. So he's going to remember that conversation that he had with Varys in the throne room.
Right.
And Bran saying that line back to him. I remember Littlefinger's face after he said that to him was kind of like, what the fuck? Like, how would he know
Well,
that? Or how would he?
I think that's the
know
moment
those
he
words?
started believing in the stuff beyond the wall and a little bit of the mystical side of
Right.
things, because prior to that he didn't give a shit about what he was saying.
Well, and they're just being like so kind of a little nonchalant about it. Like, she's like, "Oh, Bran has visions now." Like,
Right.
oh, okay. Well, hi, Bran. Like,
yeah.
what the fuck do you mean visions?
Right.
Like there was no even like questioning it
Right.
because they've all seen some shit.
Right.
So, I don't know how much mystical shit Sansa's seen,
No,
but
I don't think so.
Arya's seen it, and so has Bran.
What is Arya seeing mystical?
The faceless men and that.
Oh,
shit
yeah,
stuff
duh.
like that. Yeah,
Dumbass.
and like the mystical end of that was huge.
Right.
Mystery and mysticalness and magical and stuff.
Do you have any reason, any logical reason why he gave him the dagger?
No, because it was. I forget who was it that hired the assassin. Was it? It was Jaime Lannister that hired the assassin.
Was it? I don't
I
remember.
don't remember who it was.
You're the one that just rewatched. You don't
I know. I'm
remember?
trying to. I don't remember if that's been divulged again yet. Like
Okay.
who actually hired that?
Did we ever find out
I
who
don't
tried
know
to
if
do
it
it? Or who had whose
I think
knife
it was.
that was?
If I'm correct, if I'm thinking correctly, it was all Littlefinger and
Okay.
Eliza Aaron.
Okay.
They were plotting behind the scenes.
But
the whole
so
time.
what would be the point of giving him the dagger? I don't quite get that.
I don't understand it either. But I love what he did with it.
Well, before we get to
I
that,
know.
he asks him who owned the dagger. Now, why doesn't he just warg and find out himself? He sees things.
He maybe wanted to see if Littlefinger was going to lie to him or not.
Okay. Well, but he says that question
knows-
started
he
the
would
war
know
of
the
the War of the Five Kings, and that being what, the one with Robb Stark and them.
Yeah,
It was the five kings. Who were the five
that was
kings
the War
at
of
the
the
time
Five Kings.
that were involved in the war? Who was that?
Balon Greyjoy,
Uh huh.
Robb Stark,
Okay.
King Joffrey.
Okay.
Who would be the other ones?
I mean, they're not
Who
counting
else was
Stannis because he was
Yeah, that's it. There's number 4.
okay.
And Renly,
Oh, okay.
the 5 kings who were all claiming to be king of the Iron
Gotcha.
Islands.
Okay.
Or the Iron Throne.
Right.
So there's a War of the 5 Kings. Yes,
Okay.
that's correct.
But so why did that question start the War of the Five Kings?
Because that was the reason that Catelyn Stark took Tyrion Lannister prisoner. And then Jaime attacked Ned Stark.
Right. Okay.
Ned Stark got, Robert
Right.
gave it back to him. Then Cersei poisoned Robert's wine, and he got killed in the hunting.
Right.
And then, everything started from that point, basically.
Okay.
Right.
Someone finally gave Bran a wheelchair.
Yeah, it's great, right?
I mean, what? How the fuck did that take that long? I mean, I guess why they didn't have time to have somebody build one. It's all been. I'm not trying to make a pun here, but it's all been pretty chaotic since.
Right.
Now, the one who should be the most pissed about it, Mira. She figures out that not only did her brother Summer and Hodor die, but Bran also died in the cave.
Yeah, I liked how she said that you died in that cave.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You see the personalitylessness.
No.
That was a stupid way to say that, but you see his lack of personality as the defining characteristic. So he was gone before Hodor.
See, I don't know, but he wasn't so lifeless when he was dealing with his uncle.
with Benjen.
Yeah, that was after all that. He
Okay,
wasn't
then
so
what do you
lifeless
think
when he was
made
dealing
him
with that.
so lifeless now?
I
Coming
think,
back
the
south of the
constant
wall?
morguing, like he's been doing it.
Oh, because
I
of
think
how
it's
much.
been. It
Okay.
hasn't just been like a couple days. It's been several weeks. So he's been practicing and going back,
This
going
is
back, and
fucking
learning more and going back.
Have I told you how irritated I am that they're not showing us any of that?
God, I want to see it.
It's
Yes, please.
it's annoying because you could do full episodes of that
right.
easily, and it doesn't even have to be
Why?
anything major.
There's a perfect scene they could have added in here. How come we couldn't get a warging scene in this episode?
Just anything that he's checking out,
yeah.
because I want to know the history too, and I'm gonna be fucking pissed
If we don't get any
if we-
more of it at all.
Yeah, if we
They
never
can't
get
do that.
another warging
It's
dude.
got to be something they're holding in their hip pocket to where like we get a big scene like that.
But
like
what
a
if that
big-
was it? What if what we got of it, the Tower of Joy, what if that was the entirety of flashbacks that we're ever going to see? Wouldn't that
Yeah,
be a bit
I
of a
would be
bummer?
disappointing. That would be disappointing.
It would just be a
Yes.
missed opportunity. I
Right.
don't want to say disappointed because the show's great.
No, you're right. But I would be disappointed that we didn't get to go back and see more of the past.
Right.
Because the stuff we did see in the past was fucking amazing. It
Mm-hmm.
was great.
When, speaking of seeing the past, when Arya popped up on top of the hill on the horse and was looking out at Winterfell, I started to get emotional. But especially once she got in
Yeah.
and started looking around, like when they left her for a minute. Now, they
And
didn't
she
even
could-
walk away. They just fucking
she could
stepped a
just-
couple feet away from her and were talking. I didn't even notice that
yeah,
until
and she
the second watch.
she dipped on him because she's a fucking assassin.
Yeah,
now.
but like so she's looking around, and I'm just thinking, when was the last time this girl was here? And what does she remember? She remembers looking up and seeing her dad up there
Mm-hmm.
talking to her mom, and
shooting arrows and things.
right, and
Episode 1.
yeah, and dicking around
She
and
hasn't been
playing.
Winterfell
Yeah,
since episode 1.
right. So for her to look around Winterfell and see how much it changed made me tear up.
Yeah.
I was just like, damn. The
Yeah.
Sansa reunion was okay. It
You know
wasn't
what,
as good
though?
as I
But-
was hoping for.
Yeah, but those two were always real standoffish with
I
each
know,
other
they
anyway.
were.
So it was a little. They were happy to see each other, but it was also like, yeah, we used to hate each other.
Right.
You know,
Well, but they're also siblings,
they're also grown
so
up.
you
But
know
they
that's
did.
just how
It was
is.
heartfelt.
I like the statue doesn't look like Ned thing
I like that too.
because the way there's something, the idea of the children being the only one who remembers their father's face is super like sentimental to me for some reason. Like that again, that made me tear up. Like I just think about it as a father. Like imagine everybody else you know being dead to the point that only your kids are like, I remember my father's face. You know, it's just like, damn. I just thought that was
I
really
mean,
cool.
in that time when
Right.
there's no
Because you could
photographs,
be erased
there's
from
no
history
drawing,
forever.
there's no recordings, there's no
Candy
internet,
smug.
there's no candy smog like I just added to the set.
Jesus Christ.
And there's no, like there's none of that. So yeah, I mean, like just basically all you have is your memory.
Yeah.
That's it.
Going back to what I said earlier about how
You think people's memories were better back then because of that?
I
Or
don't
you think
know,
it was just different?
just different. I think that stuff was written down a lot more to make sure it was documented in that sense. Obviously, there were no pictures, but what I was saying earlier about
I said back then.
how they are
thing.
so young compared to the people that used to be fighting these battles.
Right.
When they mention how their stories were both so brutal up to this point, or unpleasant, as they both said,
Yeah.
and then say how their stories aren't over yet, that makes you realize how young they are. Like,
right. I mean, in the books, they're even younger.
but the stuff that they've done compared to what we've heard of the lore of like Ned Stark
Yeah. Right.
in his life, all the things he's done, they've sort of been through that stuff already, and they're not even like adults.
They've been through wars. They've been
Yeah.
through having to take lives.
But so that's almost
having-
like The Hobbit, where
love
those
how-
characters they're done. They're fucking like 12. What are you doing ending your life and going to retire at some fucking place?
Right.
Like, for fuck's sake, you could have other adventures and do other fun
Who's
stuff.
12?
I'm just saying, like Frodo and them. It
Oh,
annoyed
no,
the
no,
piss
no,
out of
no.
me that they
So
weren't
you have
like
to, like,
50
Yeah, they were.
after the
No,
Lord of the
they
Rings.
were all, like
After the Lord of the Rings, Frodo was supposed to be 50.
one Frodo. When you first see Frodo in the very first scene, he's 30 plus years old.
Oh, because he looks like a
kid.
teenager.
That's how the hobbits age.
Okay, but why did he give up already? Like, I don't get. I'm
'Cause
sorry, I
he-
don't mean to tangent
Because
this,
he
but
had the
it annoys me that
darkness.
they're. It just
He had
annoys
like
me
the
that
last
they're.
piece of evil was left in him from when he got stabbed.
Yeah, they're just like, oh well,
That's why
we're done
he was
with our
the last,
lives.
like the last piece of Mordor or whatever it was. The Dark Lord was left in his shoulder. That's why he left. And
But
went
there
with the elves.
other people went with him. Didn't
The
Charlie
elves.
go from Lost?
I don't think so. No.
He went. Everybody was just like,
This
our
is
lives
not
are
a
over.
discussion for this
The
podcast.
point is, everybody's like, our lives are over. It's absolutely relevant to what I'm trying to say. They're acting like, well, we did this thing, we're done. These people could do that. These characters could essentially go, that was our story. But they're saying, we still have, and they have the entirety of the rest of their lives, all the cool shit that happened to Ned. They're not even at the age where the
but,
cool
for
shit started
17
happening.
Years there was really no cool shit happening to Ned.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? For like the 17 years before everything started kicking off, like after Robert's Rebellion, there was 17 years of not fighting.
But he
They
was,
had one
he was
little
older
rebellion.
than they are now.
Like one little rebellion, they crushed the rebellion of the Iron Islands
Right.
right after the
Roberts.
Robert's
yeah.
Rebellion. But that was it.
But they, when Ned started Robert's Rebellion, not that he started it, but when he started in it, he was older than they are now.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I was saying.
Oh, I
Like, they
gotcha.
haven't even gone out and done the stuff that their dad did yet, but
Mm-hmm.
they could, in theory, call it a day based on Lord of the Rings logic to me. That's all I'm kind of getting at.
Well,
is,
like what
we
their
did it.
end goal actually would be to be in peace and not
Right.
have to fight these battles anymore. That would be
I
what
guess.
you didn't want. You
And
don't
that's
wanna
when
do
you
that.
don't wanna watch
You'd wanna
that.
be. You don't want to watch them
Be
grow
happy.
old and be happy and
Right.
everything. We want to know that that's going to happen. Not that this is how that this show is going to end
Right.
with happy endings. Somebody's going to get one, right?
Somebody's getting a happy ending.
Yeah, you yourself. You know what I mean, though? Like somebody, one of the characters gets a happy ending, right? Not everybody, but somebody.
That's how bittersweet works. It's got to
Right.
be like, yeah, I don't know. Next thing is the Bran reunion. He says he saw her at the crossroads, so you won't be lonely.
I see you at the crossroads.
Sorry, that just popped into my head right now as I said that. I like how he confirmed the list to Sansa. The way because Arya was like said the thing and Sansa laughed it off in the caves. She's like, haha, oh, a list. You're so adorable. Oh, you kill people. And then Bran's like, yeah, she was on the list, on Arya's list. And it was just like, oh, fuck, the list is real.
And then it was proven to her by the end
Right.
of the episode.
So then he just gives Arya the dagger.
I mean, you say that you brushed that off. I love the fact that he gave her that dagger.
But
who better
again,
to give
why?
it to?
For
Who
what?
better
What
to-
is? How is it going to
because
help her?
she can use it. What he said, it's simple. It's simple. You're thinking of it too much. He said it's simple. What good does it do a cripple?
Yeah, no, fair enough in that regard.
That's
but
it.
why didn't he just give it to Sansa?
Because she doesn't fight.
I get it. I guess.
Arya,
It's-
he's seen Arya and the things
Yeah.
that she's done and the training she's been through. He knows she's a faceless man. Who better to give it to than the assassin?
So do you think that
And-
dagger matters and is
yes,
going to
it's a
play?
Valyrian steel dagger. It absolutely matters.
So, but like
That
end
dagger,
game matters.
That dagger can kill White Walkers.
Okay, so like
Yes.
end game matters. Yeah.
That
Okay.
dagger can kill White Walkers.
Okay.
Just like Jon's sword. Just like the sword that Sam's got tucked away somewhere.
Right.
You know, those
But
are three
he's got
weapons.
dragon
Valyrian
glass
steel.
too, and
Well,
they're about
now
to
Jon's
mine
got the
some.
cave full of dragon glass, but like I'm saying, they need to go wildling style, dude, and just make like rock arrowheads.
Yeah, of
out
course.
the fucking and have a dragon fire thing. You know, while we're talking about dragon fire, can I give you the ice dragon thing, or do you not want to?
Sure,
do
go
that?
ahead. Whatever.
Okay, Ron says to me, this was just a conversation we were
Right.
having. We were just talking. We were watching the show, and I told him the two ways that we would like it to end up with the ice dragons. We
You mean
either
the
Drogon versus the two,
Right.
or the two versus Drogon.
Right.
You know, which
Not
dies?
one of the little ones dying
Right.
and becoming an ice dragon. Yeah,
right,
that doesn't
and
make
then two versus one.
Yeah.
It's either got to be both or one big one. So that's how we decided. And he was like, "Well, why would they turn into an ice dragon? If their fire and everything that's made by their fire, the dragon glass and the Valyrian steel kills the White Walkers, why would they become a White Walker?
because they
Wouldn't
died.
wouldn't the magic? So
Oh, is it? But
That's what I'm
are we
saying.
saying it is magic that makes them dragons?
what else would be?
The magic makes them White Walkers.
It
I'm
was
not sure
magic that- it was
magic makes
magic-
them dragons.
There wasn't magic that brought them to life.
I mean, she
Her
said in
walking
fire.
into the fire.
But
That's
she's
not,
a
she said
Targaryen.
she's called it magic. Not all Targaryens were unburnt like that.
Right, but
She
she's
said
special.
she's called it magic.
I
She
just
said,
the-
what about my magic? You saw me walk into the flames. She talking to Jorah in
I mean, I
season
guess
3.
I don't see the dragons as being magic. They're
I-
definitely
That
supernatural or not
I'm
supernatural.
saying that that any part of them, blood, their fire, is against. It's the opposite of ice. So I don't.
but
I'm not-
when they
I'm not
die,
shitting on-
all of those things go away.
That's not necessarily true.
What part doesn't go away?
Like
You're not
their
warm
bones
anymore.
absorb-
Your blood drains out of you potentially.
It's
Like you
still-
become a
there's still-
corpse.
Yeah, but she had the eggs. The eggs didn't. The eggs were left for thousands of years, or
Right.
however many hundreds of years, not hatched.
Right.
There's something magic there. It didn't. It's not a natural science thing that brought them back to life.
I mean, so you don't think if, for example, if Daenerys didn't go in the fire with them, they wouldn't have been born?
No. She's the mother of dragons.
Okay, but she didn't birth it. She didn't
Yeah,
do
she
anything.
did.
She
Well,
was
she
just
didn't birth
there.
it out of her vagina, but she brought them. She brought it.
I guess I've
She
just
made it
never
possible.
seen her as
If
magic.
her brother would have walked into the fire,
Right.
he would have burnt up, and the eggs would not have hatched.
Only for the
She's
sake of
magic.
clarity, I'm using this reference. It feels. I always looked at her sort of like Desmond, where they're special, and the rules don't apply to them for whatever reason. You know, I always looked at her in that
so
way,
why
where it's
can't
not
that be-
magic.
Okay, there's not magic in Lost, but why can't they be perceived as magic in the show?
No, there
She
is
she
absolutely
has
things that are defined as
absolutely-
magic
she
in the
has
show.
called it magic.
But so you think that it's magic the way
It's a higher
Melisandre
power.
brought John back?
It's
You
a
think
higher
that's
power.
magic?
It's a higher power.
Melisandre stuff?
Yeah, that comes from a higher power, doesn't it?
But so higher power is magic? Is that I'm just saying for
it can
the
all
sake
be
of
perceived
discussion.
as the same thing by these people. It might not be perceived as the same thing by us because
Right.
the world we live in, but by those people, science, magic, religion can all be perceived as same thing.
Okay, within
The
it, I
similar things.
usually look at stuff like Qyburn. Like the stuff he's doing is probably on the magic side, where he's
See, now I
doing
think
whatever
the stuff that he's doing is more on the scientific
voodoo
side.
and you don't
He would
think it
be-
has.
the stuff that he's doing is more on the scientific side.
So you think Dragonfire?
Like
Do you think
he-
that's more magic or
Yes.
science?
Wildfire is different than
I'm sorry,
dragonfire.
that's what I meant. Wildfire.
Wildfire is science. Yes, it was created by a pyromancer.
So that's not magic at all. There's nothing magical about that. I'm just trying to clarify. I'm not trying to be a dick
No.
and argue this. I just want to know because I can't tell the difference between things that are supposed to be magical and
You-
things that are
how can
literally
you-
magic.
how can you s-
like
how-
I did a spell.
Okay.
A spell sounds magical.
Science, like some dude didn't scientifically, like Qyburn. Somebody like Qyburn didn't bring the dragons by grueling testing and fucking trying to bring them back. She brought them back in a magical.
Well, then where do they come
circumstance.
from to begin with? Do you think it was magic that brought the dragons originally?
That's a whole different discussion, dude. Like I
well,
don't
but the
know.
dragons,
Like, you
the essence of the
there's-
dragons being magic
yes,
or
it has to
her
be.
being
Like,
magic.
the
'Cause if it's her, that makes sense, I guess.
the connection between Targaryens or Valyrians, which their blood comes from, is old Valyria,
Okay.
is magic. They were the only ones that could communicate with the dragons, the only ones that could control them. The rest of the world didn't,
Right.
you know.
But again, dragons magic or Targaryens magic? I'm just so I understand what you're saying.
why are they mutually exclusive?
I'm not saying they are. Are you
So
saying
both.
one or the other or both?
Both.
That's all. Because
Yeah, I mean, like,
so basically, the dragon eggs were sitting there. The eggs, as an example here, they were sitting there for a long time. Nobody did anything with them. Nobody tried to
Cursed.
burn them. Potentially, nobody did the same thing she did, other than
we
the
don't
not
know that that's
burning.
how they were necessarily born in the first place. Like, we don't know that a Targaryen had to walk, or a Valyrian had to walk into fire to birth dragons. I don't know
Right.
that. You know what I'm saying?
That's sort of what
But
I'm getting
saying
at,
that-
too.
But that's what I'm saying, is the circumstance is different. Special, magical, mystical, however you want to put it. Magic, maybe, maybe that word is turning you off. Magical.
Well, no, it's just
But
confusing me
mystical-
genuinely because I heard that the eggs came from beyond where Asahai, where Melisandre's from, the Shadowlands.
Like the three eggs. You're talking
That's
about
where the
three
eggs came from.
Yeah,
the
so-
Shadowlands. There was somebody
Yeah,
was talking about
That's
a
where old-
theory
isn't
about it.
that
And it was
where
really
old
cool.
Valyria is?
Maybe.
So that's where they would most likely be, right?
Right.
Is where the doom took place and buried.
I'm trying to think of
Valyria.
distinct things like
I'm
okay,
just saying.
the White
I'm
Walkers.
just saying. I know you're stuck on it. I'm just saying that that's a reasonable explanation for why a dragon wouldn't come back as an ice dragon.
I guess, yeah. If we're going, the
know what
only
I'm
reason
saying?
dragons exist is because of magic. That's the part I'm having an issue with. Because if dragons could have existed
See,
pre-magic
but
or
you know
not,
what I'm saying?
aside from it,
You keep using just like I keep saying. You keep saying the word magic.
Right.
It
I was
could be
just gonna
magic,
clarify what I
religion,
meant.
science, whatever. That's
what I
I'm
mean
saying.
by
Listen,
magic,
a
what I
higher
think
power.
by it, is when
A-
somebody does a spell, when they do the thing with the dragon glass into the human and it becomes a White Walker. That's more magical. It's the supernatural. It takes
Why
it to
is
another
that
level.
different than her walking into flames with the dragon fire? Or with walking into
Well, I'm not
flames and
saying
birthing
that
the
it
dragon?
is. I'm not
It's
saying that it
it's
is.
it's a similar ritual. It may not be the same ritual, but yes, some sort of magic or higher power or God or whatever it is that the Lord of Light, yes.
Well, but those are all so many different options of what it could have been.
Okay,
What
but-
if the Lord of Light protected her? And it's not magic, it's religion stuff, and the gods are real. That's all I mean. That's different
Okay,
than I have a potion and I'm going to splash it on you and now you're mystical. Like, that's what I'm saying. When I think magic, I think like the lady that was talking to Cersei, telling her her future. Like, she's got a potion with witch's blood and toads, you know. Like, that's what I think of when I think of magic. So I'm just clarifying
you're
whether
just-
we're meaning
yeah,
the supernatural or the...
Okay, that's what I mean. Like I'm saying, the word magic is
Well,
is
I
confusing
need to
me.
know
Like, it's
because
not that-
to
I'm
refute
just
the
saying
point.
magical, mystical, supernatural can all mean the same fucking thing.
And
in this show.
but if we say that, then I can't even try to refute the ice dragon thing, because it doesn't. There's no way for me to clarify between the two.
But you want to break it down to like a scientific thing, and it's not.
Well,
they
no,
weren't
when
brought,
they're
they
dead,
weren't
they're
brought
dead.
to life by scientific,
right?
You know,
but when they're dead, they're
means.
dead, and then they could be brought up by the.
I'm not saying.
That's all I'm thinking.
But I'm not saying it's inevitable. You seem to see like that. There's
No, it
going to
would
be
be
ice dragons.
awesome.
Period.
I would love to
Like,
see it. I
yeah,
think it'd be
it would
cool.
be cool, but I don't think it's necessarily something that's going to happen. I do like what you said to me about the comparison between Khal Drogo's wound and Drogon's wound.
Right.
That was really good.
We're nearly there. We're just at
Right.
the cave, real quick.
Right. Oh, I know.
But-
We got off on a tangent on that.
Yeah.
But like
I'm not trying to be difficult.
well,
Genuinely,
no,
I'm just trying to
when
understand.
Ron said that to me last night. It was just like I understand.
Right.
I
If
like,
dragons are
they were definitely birthed by some sort of magic.
not
dude.
these three,
Magic,
if dragons in general, if the species of dragons are only alive due to magic in any form, then maybe that would make sense to me. What he's saying makes sense. If they are only on this
but you're
planet
saying- but
because
you're-
of
but you-
magical
but you're-
reasons.
These three are.
No, I know that. What I'm
Okay,
saying,
but you-
dragons in general.
But that doesn't matter.
Well, but
That's
why would it matter
irrelevant
that
to
these
them,
three
one of
are?
because these three were brought into the world by magic.
Right. That's just the method of getting here. It doesn't make
Okay.
them magic.
Yes, it does.
It just makes them ones who are alive now that were supposed to be extinct. That's all it
But
does.
they were brought back to life or brought to life from
So John's
egg by
magic?
yeah.
Jon Snow's
Magic
magic
or
now?
mystical, supernatural, like it's whatever you want to call it. Yes. He
I'd
was
say
brought back to life
Benjen
by the-
is. Like he's.
Yeah.
But I
same
don't-
thing.
I wouldn't
It's
think
almost
Jon
the
Snow
same thing.
is.
It's almost the same thing.
See, I never would have said
It's
Jon
almo-
Snow's magic.
It's almost the
that's-
same thing. He was brought back to life by some sort of magic.
No, I
you
get
wouldn't call
that.
that magic?
The
Or
process
mystical
was.
or
The process was.
supernatural or some sort of
He's
god?
just
What
a
is it?
dude now. Beric Dondarrion, or whoever the guy is, Thoros of Myr. Which one comes back?
Beric Dondarrion is the one that comes back to life.
He's not magic. He's just somebody that keeps getting brought back to life via magic. That's all I'm saying. The distinguishing factor is magic being performed, or is the thing essentially magic? If dragons never existed in history, if they were just reptiles,
there's you're never gonna find that solid of an explanation,
right?
Because it's not there to these people in
I
this
bet
world.
you it is.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
what do
it's
you guys
not,
think
like-
of magic? Is magic magic distinguished from other things in this show that are otherwise mystical? The White Walkers, the dragons. I'm genuinely curious because you have to understand the rules of it. You're not talking to the mic. You have to understand the rules of a universe to be able to have a super in-depth point counterpoint kind of a discussion. We learned it eventually with other shows, with Heroes, with Fringe. You started to learn the parameters of that world to where you could then discuss it intelligently. Whereas if we don't know what the rules are, like if they'd never said whatever happened on Lost, then we could think that they could change stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? But we know that they can't in that world.
And we've
so I'm
decided
trying
that
to
rule
decide
applies
that
to
in
this
here.
world too.
Right.
But
Right. I don't think Brandon is changing stuff when he goes back
No,
in time. I think it
whatever
always was.
I think it always was like
Right.
that too. Ned Stark always,
Yeah.
the one point I go to, Ned Stark always turned around. He always heard that voice.
Right.
He always turned around there. That always
Right.
happened. It didn't happen just when Bran went back. That's what always happened.
I agree with
I
that.
agree with-
But we
I-
don't know that
We don't
yet.
know that. You're right.
And we
totally
could find
don't
out
know
something
that.
groundbreaking like that. That's the kind of information that, again, I'm sorry if this was tedious to listen to us try to figure that out, but I genuinely
And it
need
might
to
have sounded like we
understand
were
this
arguing,
world.
but we're not. But yes,
I'm
there-
trying to understand the world so that I can intelligently go, oh no, it's not
See,
magic. It's dragons are reptiles, so they existed.
See,
they
I-
couldn't be
like-
birthed again because there was no way to make it hot enough. But she is magic, so
See,
she
now-
can make it hot. You know, like there's
Like,
ways you could go with that.
Back in like season 1, like Bran had a conversation with like Maester Luwin. Do you remember Maester Luwin, the first Maester in Winterfell? Like he had a conversation with him, and they talked about how magic had been gone from this world for several thousand years, and that he even tried his hand at spells. He had a Valyrian steel link on his chain that signified that he tried his hand at the higher mysteries.
Okay.
So he tried spells.
Lewin, you said.
Maester Luwin, and he basically told Bran that it was all bullshit. It's been gone. He even said it may have existed at one time in this world, but it's been gone for a long time.
He's saying magic.
Magic. He referred to it as a whole, though. He was talking about White Walkers,
Right.
children of the forest,
And maybe it did go away.
dragons,
Or in
all of that. He
remission.
was talking about that as a whole. You have to go back and watch this scene. It's not a definite explanation of what
Right.
we're talking about,
Right.
but it is a reference to magic. That's not just like fucking a witch's pot throwing shit in there. That's not what
Right.
I'm talking about when I refer to magic.
Okay, well then I
in this
guess
film.
I
I'm
guess it
referring
leads to another
like,
question.
Okay, for example.
Because
when
magic is like what
when
happened to
I
Khal
got-
Drogo.
When I was talking, yes. See, now that was like more witches, potions, and stuff like that.
But that's
Still,
what I consider magic. See, that's the general
dark, you
definition
call
of
it
it.
blood magic. It's like I don't necessarily think that you're defining it too
Right.
too narrowly.
Well, then the question
You're
begs
defining-
to be asked: what would have made Daenerys magic? Then, in that sense, what do you
it could
think
be
it could
her
have been?
blood. It could be her heritage.
But her brother wasn't. You know, because we're saying basically that she was magic enough to be able to walk into the fire.
Maybe she just I don't know. She inherited something that he didn't. She was the blood of old Valyria. None of these other kings or queens that we've heard about before her, they all tried a lot of them they talk about he tried to drink wildfire because he thought he was going to be a dragon.
Her dad.
Pre-Mad King, but he was obsessed with wildfire too
Right.
and was going to kill himself with it, thinking he would become a dragon. He was definitely
Well,
not
yeah,
the dragon.
he didn't think he was going to
Right.
kill himself, but yes, he would have absolutely died.
Right, yes.
Do you think she would die from something like that?
The wildfire? Maybe it not being natural fire? Maybe.
Oh, I didn't even think of it in the fire sense. I was just thinking the magical side of it. Like, would she be able to get the effects that he was thinking he could get? Like, because we don't know if the Mad King had any of that either, any of the magic, so to speak.
I mean, I'm willing to bet that Daenerys would die if he drove a sword through her back, like the Mad King died.
Okay.
We don't know if he ever
If he was special
burnt
in
or,
any
like,
way?
I mean,
He was shouting,
well,
burn
they
them
said
all,
something
but...
about Targaryens where they flip a coin. Like, every time a Targaryen is born, the gods flip a coin to whether he's going to be
Oh,
mad
like
or
crazy or
crazy
regular?
or regular or good,
Okay.
And look if you think about the two sides of a coin, the two brothers, youngest brothers and sisters who were Targaryens, one of them was a fucking psycho and the other one
Right.
was not.
And Rhaegar would have not been as well. He would have been on the
Rhaegar,
Daenerys side,
I think, would have
potentially.
been on the Daenerys side. I think that any
He seems even
account-
more peaceful than her.
any accounts that we've heard of Rhaegar from like Barristan Selmy, who
Right.
Selmy,
Selmy, I think.
Selmy.
Selmy.
Yeah, Barristan Selmy, who says that he loved him. He was his dude. Like the prince
Right.
was his guy. He walk around, play music for people and shit. Like every account that we've heard from like honest people about Rhaegar Targaryen,
Right.
is that he was a good dude, right? So
Yeah.
we can honestly see that where
Other than the people that he wronged, his ex, for example, the Martell or whatever. Wasn't it a Martell? Or not a Martell,
no, but
sorry.
she wasn't mad at the Oberyn Martell. Yeah, the Martells.
It was Martell that was
Yeah.
married to Rhaegar?
Yes, Ilya Martell.
Ilya
right.
Martell.
Yeah.
The one that was just put in the dungeon?
No, that's Ilaria.
Oh, okay. Her mom or something? Or
No,
Oberyn's
her name was Ilaria Sand.
Oh, that's
she
right,
was a
'cause she's a
bastard.
bastard.
Yeah.
Bastardess?
I think bastard is just the way they refer to it. I like the fact that they brought the
So
bastard
wait,
up. And
who was married to it?
Ilaria was
Who is that?
Ilya Martell, Oberyn's sister,
Oberyn's sister. That
was
was the one that
married
was killed by
to-
the mountain?
the Mad King. He was
No, Rhaegar.
Rhaegar. Yes, you're right. She was Prince Rhaegar's wife.
Gotcha. And they had kids.
They had kids who the mountain murdered. Supposedly in the books, if you really want to get into all that.
Right, potentially. I mean, again, with how quick everything's moving, I think we've come to the conclusion that you may have been right on that one.
That
where
there's just too fast. There's too much.
Yeah. If they wanted to flesh the story out a
that
little more,
would
they
feel
could.
hollow to me.
What?
If they did that.
But if they
pulled
brought it
this
out
character out of
after
nowhere-
everything, like after it all
You have to
settled.
remind me by the time we're going to this podcast. I came up with like a good last scene too.
Okay.
Like I was talking about Jenna.
Speaking of last scenes, we need to discuss the empty throne room that was burned. That's in Winter, that have been seen in 2 different visions. Is that we need to discuss that? How does that come about? You know, is that still inevitable?
I don't know. It depends on what she was seeing at that point.
Because Bran also saw it, didn't he?
Brant,
So, there were 2 different things were seen of that vision. It was a flash,
he
maybe.
saw the
in the
I'm-
flashes that
I
we saw.
I thought Brant's.
Remember the wildfire
He saw the
exploding?
wildfire
We saw the-
explosion. He saw the dragon flying over King's
King's
Landing at
Landing.
one point.
Yeah. But
Did
he also
see
saw the
burned
empty,
throne
yeah, the
room?
burned throne room where it was all
See,
still and
There was like snow. We said
ash.
it's snow, but it could have been ash.
I
from the
think it was
burning.
still snow, but
Yeah.
yes. But so the
So
point
that
being,
means winter
winter's
is
there.
It's come all the way to King's
But
Landing.
so, do you think that still happens, or do you think we've just forgotten about that?
I
so to
think that
speak?
might be what's driving Bran to try to stop that from happening.
What is he doing though? Is he doing anything?
It's
not that we're
interesting.
aware of.
The way he says he has to talk to John, I'm still curious as to what that conversation is going to
Yeah,
take
because
place.
it's not going to be anything that we're hoping for. It's not going to be like, totally, your dad is not your dad. Your dad is actually Rhaegar Targaryen, and you just totally fell in love with your sister in that cave, or your cousin in that cave. Aunt.
Aunt is the right.
I'm trying to get us back to the
I
cave.
mean, it's direct. There's no second or anything. It would be
No,
it
it's
would be his
cousin.
aunt.
It's his aunt. Yes.
Yeah.
At Dragonstone, I loved how Missandei was like, many things happened. She's like, many things, because she knows that he has no.
yes.
know.
But he has no balls.
So what does that equate to? He can still fuck her.
yeah,
He just can't come, right? Isn't that the point? Or would he just like blow air?
I would think you would still have the sensation of an orgasm,
Just empty behind
just nothing coming
there?
out,
See, that would feel
or
empty.
empty liquid. That would feel hollow.
That would feel hollow.
You're not going to get that anywhere else but
Right.
here.
Okay, again, lost spoilers here. Next, we go into Jacob's cave,
Oh, stop.
where they have the writing on the walls and stuff
Okay,
like that.
I get
and
your comparison there.
the Oceanic logo. I'm telling you. Are you telling me that is not one of the fucking symbols that was on the wall? Because that is absolutely one of the symbols that was on the wall. The fucking Oceanic logo. The lost ties in now. So this is where Jacob comes from. This is Jacob's backstory.
So you're saying, so that it all ties in together.
This is a prequel to
The
Lost.
island is Dragonstone.
Right, just afterwards.
Changed thousands of years later.
No,
It's
I'm just
moved-
kidding.
They,
But
they use some sort of magic to move it. Now it moves around.
But so we go into that
okay.
cave, and they said, I was listening to that thing afterwards, and they're like, we didn't write the sexual tension in there, in that scene.
No, they did say that. Yeah,
But
It
but
just
they
kinda
were just sort of like by proximity. It
happened. Well,
was-
the way he grabbed her hand
and
to,
like
guide
pushed her over.
to
Yeah.
the thing, and then she stepped up right into his face. Like, there's definitely some sexual tension there. But I mean, in this world, big deal.
Okay, then do you think that if it was known, because it won't be known, that's the thing. That's going to be the bittersweet part, dude.
You're
I'm
saying
telling
that
you.
he'll never find out.
He's never going to find out. But the bittersweet
Why?
part is
But
going to
then
be
what's
like
the
them
point?
her being
Then
pregnant.
what's the point of even telling us that?
Because we know.
But,
To
okay.
suffer the character, make the character suffer. He never finds out the truth.
But, okay.
That's why.
This
just
goes to like
make
the
him
finding
a
out the
sympathetic
man in
character.
black's name thing.
Yes, it would matter for Jon Snow.
Why?
It would absolutely matter for him to find out who his parents are. That would change everything for him. There's no way he'd fuck Daenerys.
Well, no.
And he's going to do that. Like, that's going to happen at this trajectory. There's no scenario in which they don't end up hooking up here. After that fucking scene in the cave,
They're
going to hook
okay,
up.
you keep saying the word bittersweet, so why can't that be bittersweet part of it? Where they don't get to hook up, they find out their family, but are really in love with each other, but can't decide that that's wrong.
I'll tell
and
you
they can't
why.
do it.
Because the general audience is not going to be sympathetic to people who want to hook up but can't because they're aunt and fucking nephew.
They wanna
That's
see
not
it.
going to be a
No,
realistic.
everybody wants to see.
I don't want to see them hook up. You want them to hook
No,
up?
I'm not. No, not me. Not somebody who's smart enough and watches, pay attention to detail of the show. But the people who don't, the people who are just watch the show on its surface.
But if they found that out, you think they'd be like, "Oh man, I really wanted them to hook up still." They'd be like, "Oh, okay, I get why they can't hook up now." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you found out at the end of the series,
Well,
"Oh
okay.
shit, Jon Snow is," they'd be like,
okay,
"Sorry,
so
we're
but
gonna have to break
everybody
up."
knows that. The audience knows that. So why would they have them hook up then?
Because the characters don't know. That's the tragedy of it. We know, but they don't know.
Okay.
We're watching the whole story. We get the whole picture. They only get this little tiny one.
So we get to all go.
Yeah. Oh, right, because this show's squeamish. This show doesn't like taking risks and fucking with the audience at all. I just
In the first episode, we were watching a brother fuck the shit out of his sister.
Exactly.
Right. Which is worse
yeah,
than nephew and aunt.
absolutely.
Still horrible.
Oh, that's what that's a question I was getting to. Do you think that if let's say it became common knowledge, Bran tells everybody whatever. He holds a press conference and just tells everybody stuff.
Brad sitting at one of
Okay,
those tables
what
with
do
those
you
big
wanna
ass
know?
fucking backdrops with like
Yeah.
the Game of Thrones logo repeated all over it, you know?
And he's just
got
got
a
a laser
microphone in front of his
pointer.
face. And he's just,
What does anybody want? Like it's Comic-Con.
yeah, John. Okay, well, answering questions.
But let's say that everybody knows. Are they?
See, now we're the assholes in the audience asking the super detailed questions, to where he's like, "Yeah, I can't answer that.
Yeah.
it's just too.
Yeah, that's
too
dumb.
much of an
You're
explanation.
thinking about it too hard.
You're thinking about it too hard. It's not that.
Would the people that are being ruled, like right now, it feels like the people that get behind Daenerys choose to.
yes.
Like Missandei said. Do you think that that the people would be behind her and Jon Snow hooking up if they knew they were aunt and nephew? Because of
No, I
what
think
they
it's-
just went through
No,
with
I think
Cersei.
it's frowned upon because of what just happened with Cersei. Yes.
Right.
Because of the.
They'd be seen as evil as them.
Even the Targaryens. Even people who
Wouldn't
know
that ruin it?
The people who know the history of like the Seven Kingdoms,
Right.
like know that like
The Targaryens did
we're
that shit.
inbred, and that's why half of them were fucking crazy.
But so the point is, they wouldn't. If they did that, that would alienate
I
a
don't
bunch
necessarily
of the
think they're hooking
populace.
up. I don't think we're going to see that.
I hope they don't.
No, I hope they don't either because
Right.
we know their family.
Right. I don't
Right.
want that to happen.
Me either.
For some reason, a lot of people are talking
lot
about
of
it
people-
as an inevitability, and even that sexual tension comment from the writers is like, maybe they will, but no, let's not do
It
that.
can't, let's not, because that's weird.
Just because I remembered it now. Somebody said that the seasons after the book, since the book, feel like the comic book version of Game of Thrones. I'm just curious your thoughts on that.
I mean, I really think
I can't
somewhere
back that
along the
up.
lines they decided to make it too short. I think they overextended themselves by making the third book 2 seasons. And then we're like, oh shit, we kind of have to get to the end here. And I don't understand why it couldn't be 2 full seasons. We have
Right.
this conversation every single week. But like I can't come up with a good explanation as to why, besides money,
Right.
besides the budgetary reasons.
Right. And I
That's
get
gotta
it.
be
I mean, I
and
do
after
get
watching
that.
the scene in this episode, yeah, I mean,
But did you
obviously.
know that
it's already
that
been an hour and 11 minutes.
No. We were recording for 20 minutes before we started the podcast. This is more accurate. Then that's 5 minutes
Oh,
off.
okay, gotcha.
Friends had the exact same per episode budget as Game of Thrones does. But back then they were paying the cast salary. So think about this. This episode
They weren't paying anything for the sets. They
They're
weren't paying
paying-
anything on
No.
Friends. They were paying all of that money was going to the actors.
Right. But so
This-
the same amount of money was spent there compared to Game of Thrones. So the actors are getting paid and they're doing all this amazing stuff for the same amount. That is fucking money, or that is return on a dollar. That's all I'm
Now,
saying.
do you think it's 10 million per episode? Do you think that
No, I think
budget?
they have a certain amount per year, probably
Yes.
100 million.
What I'm saying is, okay,
And then
so
they
that
spend it
they
where they need
spent
it.
a
Yeah.
big chunk of
They're
money.
not
'cause
gonna
this
go, "You
episode
can't
was
do this
definitely
episode."
more expensive than the previous episode.
Yeah, they're not going to say, "Oh,
I
sorry, you have to
feeling-
stop
I have
here.
a
You're
feeling
out of
these
money."
last few episodes are all going to be expensive episodes.
Hopefully. Is Tyrion a failure so far?
I mean, almost. Like,
As
his,
the hand.
his ideas have been bad. Yes.
Do you think he was playing
don't
it
necessarily-
safe? Do you think he was reserved for
I think he
whatever
was
reason?
reserved. I think he tried to. He was thinking that he was one step ahead of them.
And they were two
They
steps
were two
beyond
steps
that.
ahead of him already. It's like he was out of the game for too long. You know what I'm saying? Like, he wasn't in King's Landing dealing with all that shit. He was over with her and not really
So he's seen
having-
a sheltered perspective on everything.
basically.
Sort of.
Like,
Okay.
he hasn't, like, he's been dealing with the slaves. I guess he's had a lot of political dealings even over in King, but he over in Essos, like, dealing with the slaves masters and that kind of shit. Like, even he failed at that. Like, he organized that pact, and then the slave masters broke it and attacked Marine anyway.
Oh, okay.
Like, so, like, everything he like comes up with seems to
But
kind
it
of backfire on
seems
him.
logical. the
It
stuff he's
does. His
saying.
ideas, I don't think, are bad. But
But do you think that
he's-
she's going to replace him? Or do you think that he's still going to remain her most trusted advisor, aside
I
from
mean, she
Missandei?
said something I was really hoping she wasn't going to throw at him.
What?
The whole
Well,
you're
your
a Lannister
family.
thing.
Yeah.
Like, that was like, that was low.
Because we're not sure he is.
Low blow. That was a low blow.
Brienne and
I can
Arya
understand the
squaring
anger
off.
and that she was upset because
Right.
both of the allies she sent off to go do parts of his plans are now
Right.
fucked.
And it
one way or
seems like
another.
maybe he's trying to splinter her side and like he could be a plant, but no. She's got to
can't
realize
be.
that he's not. What if he was?
That would be incredible.
Would that be the best twist of this entire show?
It would be.
If Tyrion was working for the Lannisters, A, was a Lannister, B, was plotting with... I mean, there's no way. It wouldn't make any sense. But think about if that was the
If
case
he
and he
was-
was trying to bring down Daenerys.
It would
from the
it would
inside, that'd
break
be-
my heart.
Right.
But yes, it would be fucking awesome. It would be an awesome twist. You'd be like,
Right.
and then you'd want him to die. So then
Right.
there's
There's how you kill him.
Kill Tyrion.
Yeah.
Like I forgot to show Ron the Bohemian Rhapsody thing before we watched last week's episode.
Brienne and Arya squaring off. The way Sansa was willing to accept the amount of grain. Did you catch that while she was talking to?
Briefly.
She said to Littlefinger, "Well, they've brought whatever they can. Basically, they brought whatever grain they could bring.
Yeah.
Whereas Jaime sent Bronn to go get more. He was not satisfied with what they did supply. He's like, go convince them to give up more. So it's a
Right.
different strategy."
Well, yeah.
Or hers is a little more short-sighted, maybe. She's being too trusting, maybe, of the people that, they would bring what they could. No. Just like Walking Dead. Like, no, I tell you what's enough, not you don't tell me how
Yeah.
much of yours I get. And it sort of feels like that's a similar thing to that with Sansa. Maybe she's underestimating. That's all I'm saying. You know, she seems a little naive in that part of it.
Maybe I think she partly is naive. I think she is.
Arya is Ned. We were watching it out there, and Arya is Ned at this when she's fighting with Brienne.
Dude, her costume was
Her hair is Ned. Her posture. She has the same wide forehead that Ned has.
Yeah.
The same wide eyes.
wide jaw. Yeah, she's dude, the costume she was wearing in that scene. That's the wolf, dude. She was wearing the Winterfell guard. I mean, it was awesome. Her costume was awesome with the sword on
But
either
who
hip.
taught her how to do all that stuff?
No one.
Fucking awesome. I
Fucking
mean,
brilliant.
come on, dude.
I mean, come on, dude. Like, it was so awesome. I was already like fist pumping when they finished the fight, and like so I was half paying attention to when she said that.
Yeah.
And I looked up, and she just looked up at her and said, "No one." I was like, "Oh my god!"
I
They did
didn't.
not just
I
finish
didn't
that
catch
scene
it
like
the
that.
first watch through. I just remember being so emotional, seeing her come back. You know what I mean? Just seeing her back in Winterfell was so emotional.
That
to
was
me,
good
and-
too. And but after, like, when she got kicked in the chest, pretty hard, man.
Yeah.
Just jumped right back off the ground. That was fucking awesome, dude. That was such an awesome scene. That scene makes me think that the one person that could take the mountain down is Arya Stark.
as
We're gonna
opposed
watch
to Brienne.
Clegane Bowl, and the mountain's gonna kill the Hound in front of Arya. However this comes together,
Okay.
And Arya is going to have to fight the mountain and kill him.
Is that how it works, though? Do they fight somebody else immediately afterwards? Like when Oberyn got killed,
No,
they
no, no.
didn't. Somebody else didn't jump in.
This isn't happening in a trial by combat. This is happening in a battle.
Oh, they're just going to fight,
There's
and then
fighting.
she's going to step
The
in.
mountain is
what if
fighting.
she saves the Hound, and then
That could be
kills the
cool
mountain?
too, or kills the mountain for the Hound.
Right.
Yeah, like the mountain's about to strike down, and the needle comes through his fucking eyeball, the back of his head, or something like that.
Right.
She just pokes him like. I don't even know that would stop.
Do
him.
you think that it's possible that Arya becomes corrupt? Because that's what Sansa's fearing now. I think she's starting to piece together after hearing Arya say the list, and then Bran confirming the list, and then her watching Arya best. She did best Brienne, right? Or they at least were equal.
I think they were equal because she came at her with the knife to the neck, and Brienne had the sword coming down over her head.
She had already lost her sword. It's not like she wasn't.
But like
she just stood
Brienne,
there
then like Brienne like came and like tried to grab her. She grabbed Brienne's hand and like at the same time pulled out the dagger, like spun it and had it at her throat. Like that shit was pretty cool.
But the point being that that Sansa was watching that, going, "Holy fuck, Brienne beat the
Hound.
The Hound." And Arya is that good that she's keeping up with or besting her.
Right.
Like that's fucking.
And took a kick to
So
the chest.
do you
like
think
a
that
brutal
she's
kick to
going?
the chest.
Do you think that she's going to get corrupted with the killing?
Partially, yeah. I think that's part of her
I don't
story
know if
arc.
there's a lot more to. I don't know. Maybe I'm hoping there's a lot more than I'm thinking.
Well,
there
dude,
is.
like that scene I sent you today with the red woman talking to Arya back in season 3.
Yeah.
When she like looks into her face, like grabs her by the chin and looks her into the eyes and says, "I see a darkness in you."
Yeah.
A darkness, and in the darkness is eyes staring back.
Right. She's
Brown
then talking
eyes,
about the faces.
green eyes, and blue eyes. She
Right.
said. Cersei has bright green eyes.
I know, but dude, so many people. The
I
only
know,
one that
but, like, I'm
matters
talking
is
about, I'm talking
purple.
about the main. What's purple?
Well,
she never said the word.
I'm
the
sorry.
purple,
What I didn't explain on here. What that was continuing our conversation from before. The only way that I think personally the eye colors would be relevant to the main characters is if the Targaryens had purple eyes like in the books. Because every other eye color is common enough that anybody could have had it. That was
Yeah,
on
but
her
I'm
list.
thinking like she's not just seeing common people staring back at her from the darkness that she's looking at.
Well,
her.
but
She's
Meryn
seeing-
Trent could have had green eyes or
Yeah.
blue eyes or brown eyes. Is all I'm saying. There's no
It doesn't
eye color
necessarily.
that
There has to be one singular set of eyes. Blue eye, one set of blue eyes, one set of green eyes.
Right.
One set. That's not necessarily what she meant. You know, but like
Right.
some of the main characters, I just thought it was cool. Like Daenerys has blue eyes, Jon has brown eyes, and Cersei has green eyes.
right. Okay.
Eyes you will shut forever.
Yeah.
Now here's what led me to my cool like end scene.
But then she'd have to kill Jon and Daenerys for that. Arya?
Just saying, like we've seen Stranger Things. Anyway,
I did watch season 1.
yeah. So the end, like Daenerys wins, whatever, and she's sitting on the Iron Throne. Whatever happens, but
Okay.
like right before the credits, like she starts pulling her face off, and it's Arya.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how we get there, but
Right.
like then
Yeah.
credits and that's it. Like come on, that'd be pretty fucking sweet.
Well, yeah. I mean, it would be cool if she was. Well, first of all, Daenerys would have to be dead, which would be
Well,
fine.
we wouldn't even have known that up until that
Exactly.
point.
We wouldn't know that she was dead, and I'd be okay with that, especially if the dragons didn't know that it wasn't her. You know what I mean? She was able to fly on them
Arya was
as
riding the dragon,
yeah.
and Arya was riding the dragons and stuff. Yeah, that would have been cool. This is something
No,
that
that's an
crossed my mind,
interesting
like, I thought it was
thought.
cool. Well, like even with Jon, even whoever like the winner is, whoever
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, and it's Arya
And
instead.
then she put like just at the end, she starts to pull out her face. You just see like part of Arya's face at the end, and then
I mean, I think you'd
black
have to
screen.
give the full.
the full face.
If that's going to be the end shot and you're going to pull back from that, you better
And
show
that's
the
it.
full face, yeah, and let her smirk a little bit, or
Yeah.
something, you know what I mean? But
I
that's
mean, just seeing part of her face, just to know it's her and to see her smirk, I think would be okay too. Or one eye.
who was the one that started pulling the face off? Walter Frey, you said, pulled the eye down a little bit.
That was
before it went
weird,
off.
like how he, right before it changed to Arya.
Okay, 2 more scenes left.
Sure.
Dragonstone. I noticed you staring at her good heart. That was fucking great.
The way he laughs after that too
Right.
is great.
Because he's
Just
like,
so
there's no
he's a-
time for that.
I don't know. He's a light-hearted dude, man, like
Right.
Davos, but he's a down-to-earth dude and a smart guy.
Right.
I don't know. Great line.
He's like, this is King Snow. No, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
King John? No. I love the lightheartedness
Yeah.
of that. And then John was talking to him, and we got a Stannis call back. which I noticed immediately. I don't know why. That was I was like, oh, that's Stannis.
Yeah, I caught it right away when he
Because
corrected
he's like,
him.
you
He
would have
corrected his English.
lesser or less people, and he's like, or fewer. Yeah.
Yeah, he corrected him just like Stannis corrected him at one point.
What did you think of the whole Missandei thing, where she was talking to Jon Snow about how there's no concept of marriage where she's from, so
Like
there
I
is
thought
no
that was
bastard.
an interesting.
So he's nothing unspecial. That's a stupid way of saying it, but he's
from
normal.
a whole different set of people's beliefs. Would not like just the way they are. Like,
Yeah,
they
no,
don't
that's not even a thing.
recognize that.
So you have whatever birthright.
just
You know what I
a
mean? You're just
person.
a person. Yeah. She says Dany is the queen they chose, and then Theon shows up. Jon is also Ned, by the way.
With his head,
His
yeah.
hair, his outfit.
Dude, his armor is badass with the
Right.
two facing wolves on.
Right.
Like that's fucking cool.
Theon
And then
came to
Daenerys
ask for
has the
Dany's
thing on
help.
her arm with the 3 dragon heads with the chain hanging from it. Their
Yeah.
costumes are just incredible
Yeah.
this year. So good.
What did you think of the Theon and Jon thing? I mean, I
It was
get
a little
why he let him
underwhelming. I get why he didn't.
kill him.
Like my head went both ways there. I was like, is he gonna walk up and just beat the shit out of him? Because he knows. He knows what he did. He knows that he went back and took Winterfell. Jon doesn't know his brothers are alive. Well, he knew Rickon was alive. So maybe he knows Theon didn't kill his brothers.
Right.
He knows that. But he knows he betrayed Robb and took over Winterfell and
Right.
killed Maester Luwin and
Yeah.
slaughtered fucking a bunch of Northmen, you know? He knows that all happened.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah, Theon was coming there to ask for Dany's help to get Yara back. Maybe? I don't think that would be a goal. I think that would be a byproduct of Dany going to war. Like, oh, I can get Yara back at some point, but I don't think it would be like a goal
She's not getting on the back of a dragon riding
to
out
go
for
get Yara. Right, exactly. Just outside of King's Landing is where we go for the rest of the episode. Dickon.
Dickon.
I mean, shut the fuck up. Why would that be a name? Why would you ever name your kid Dickon?
Dick is short for Richard. Why? I don't know. But
Right.
and
Well, I
not
know that as
necessarily
my
the
middle
show, but,
name's
like,
Richard. I know that Dick, Jolie Dick, Sam
Jolie-
says to me. He calls
Jolie
me
Dick?
Jolie
Yeah,
Dick.
I've never heard that.
You're such a dick.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man.
But Dickon?
Dickon, like it's like all these people are like named after other people.
I'm just going to throw
or,
this out there. It's not shorter than Rickon.
Like Rickon.
Dick is shorter than Richard, but not
Rickon-
shorter than Rick.
Rickon, like Rickon is like from his grandfather derived, like Rickard stuff.
Right.
You know. I think there was somebody else named Eddard.
People shit themselves when they die.
Edmure
Yeah.
was one of the guys' names.
Whatever happened to that douchey guy that got sucked into marrying the Frey's daughter?
That's Edmure. That's the guy.
Is
I'm
he
talking
alive
about.
somewhere?
Yeah. Don't you remember what happened to him last season?
Not the ending. What happened to him after Arya killed the Freys?
Oh, I don't know. That I don't know.
Where is he now?
Because
is what
remember
I'm
they said
asking, I
that he
guess.
was back in a dungeon after that.
Mhm.
After remember how
Presumably
Jamie took
he's
back
not
over
still
when
there.
Jamie took over River Run last season
Right.
with the Blackfish and all
Mm-hmm.
that. How he did that with Edmure,
Yeah.
sent the Lord of the Castle to have him open the gates. Edmure is the rightful Lord
Oh, right.
of River Run.
Yeah.
And he sent him to the gates and made him order his men to open the gates for him.
Yeah.
And then the Lannisters marched in and took over without bloodshed, basically.
Right.
You know? So
But do you think he's still locked up somewhere? Or do you think
they
that
said that. Walder Frey said he was still locked up, but then I don't know what happened to him after she
like the
killed all
other
the Freys.
is the chick in charge
Who?
of the Freys now?
The one she talked to?
The wife?
Right after she killed him?
Yeah.
I
Who's
don't
in
know.
charge of the
I think the
Freys?
Freys, I think that was it.
But-
I think
but
she
what's-
killed all the Freys that meant anything. She gathered in the one room.
I get that, but what's going on with that area? You know, like that's my question.
Who
Who's
gets the twins?
What happens to them? What happens to the people, the women that are left there? They have to live. Like they're not just going to leave. They're going to
No,
clean
they
up the
probably-
mess
yeah.
and then fucking live there like
Probably, yeah.
people. You know, and
Till-
it'll be an
till
all
whatever-
woman.
till
Except
whatever-
for him, he's going to be banging all of them.
To whatever-
Edmure. Edmure's going to be let out because he was not brought in because he wasn't somebody who
No.
meant something. He wasn't
I mean,
a Frey who mattered.
He wasn't a Frey.
Well,
He's
yeah,
a Tully.
Oh, he made her a Tully.
Right.
The wife. Or the, you know,
Right.
Okay. Bronn hears,
He has a
oh,
son,
people shit
too.
themselves when they die. Bronn's known that since he was 5.
Yeah.
He hears it. The guy on the line shaking was fucking amazing. Like them coming, he hears.
Right.
The guy,
Yeah.
behind the fucking armor. His whole face is shaking.
Yeah.
It's just like, Jesus Christ! Imagine how terrifying.
You
that
hear,
would be.
yeah, but
That was before you
hear-
even saw the dragon.
Before it was before you even saw the horses.
Yeah, that was.
It was just the rumbling of the horse lords and the fucking.
Mm-hmm.
I think they did a really good job demonstrating
the way they stood up on him and
The
all that stuff was
Dothraki.
interesting. Yeah,
Yeah, the way they.
In
they're
that
a mix
anatomy
between
of a scene
American
thing.
Indians and Mongols.
right.
Like
Yeah.
like that's a good description.
It is a cool
the way
mix
they
too.
put this, the way they made the saddle stirrups so they could stand up on
Yeah.
the horses, like all that shit
Yeah, that
was
was all
badass.
badass. I like how as soon as the dragon showed up and she Dracarys'd it, which was awesome.
Blew a hole right in their front line.
That
That
noise.
sound effect, love it. Yeah.
But the horses noped the fuck out of there. Like as soon as the dragon started shooting fire, like breathing fire, there was just like 3 horses that just ran away. We're like, we're out, fuck off, we're done. This is not in our contracts.
Right. You mean the like the Dothraki horses or like the
No, the Lannister horses. 3 of them, not the ones that were pulling the burning thing. 3 horses just
regular horse
noped the
gone.
fuck out.
I'm
They're just
out.
like, we're out. Bronn operating the scorpion.
It's cool. I'm a lot less threatened by that thing, unless it was
I'm
poisoned.
not.
If they had a bunch of them,
If it's okay, so we have to discuss this stuff. This is why I try to avoid talking to you before the podcast because I feel like we already did this.
okay.
But the tips of those
Briefly.
things could have been poisoned. It's possible. We're
well,
throwing
that's
it out
what,
there.
like I don't think that the dude's blade was poisoned that killed
Whose dude?
Drogo. The dude who put that
No.
cut on his arm, it wasn't poisoned. That blade wasn't poisoned. It got infected, and then the witch.
Oh well, we
put
didn't
some
even
sort-
bring that connection yet.
Oh, I thought that's your.
No, I was building to that.
Okay, sorry.
Thanks, Dick. I was gonna sound smart there for a second because I was gonna go, well, who else?
My bad.
Because I had that like this many more down. I have like 6 more things I wanted to say before that. Thanks. So Jamie's decent enough at lefty that he survived battling a Dothraki with 2 swords.
Yeah,
That's
a dual
interesting.
wielding guy. So he's gotten better with the one-handed,
Right.
one hand on the sword. Yeah.
Does bronze gold, you think, ever come back into play, or do you think it doesn't matter? Like he left it in the middle of that battle. Do
Yeah,
you
I
think like
think
it's going to
it's-
come back into play
no.
somehow, or you think
Or
it's just
somebody will
gone?
find it. Maybe I don't think it's a significant amount of gold to
Right,
make a
it
difference.
may not matter.
Right.
I was just thinking, what if they
One of
get
those
the rest of their
truckloads
gold
worth of gold
taken?
would make it matter.
What if they got all that stolen still? Then that would be the last
So-
of it. Maybe it would mean something. That's all I was getting at. Like maybe it's a plot device that they're going to
So
come
now,
back
do you
to.
think they're going to siege King's Landing now?
I don't know.
I think they're going to go with Tyrion's the plan was to siege King's Landing. They were going to do it with Westeros, the armies.
Right. So
That
it
plan
was-
didn't work
no.
because of the other things that have happened.
Because they're still
so now
at-
they're going to bring the
at Casterly
Dothraki
Rock.
horde out and lay siege to King's Landing, which means they're just going to
Well, let's
park.
get through this battle first.
Okay.
Hold on. But yes, I'm with you on that. Like,
Okay.
what's the fuck is next?
Yeah.
Absolutely. The long shot that we follow Braun in the battle was very much like Jon Snow's.
Is it?
It's nearly identical. You
it was-
watch them side by side, and they,
boom,
they
the
move
horses
the
fucking
same.
smash. Yeah, it was very.
There was just
very
like one
reminiscent
long
of the
shot
battle.
on both of them.
Very reminiscent on the Battle of the Bastards for sure.
Tyrion watching, conflicted as fuck.
Yeah, about thinking he was just about to watch his brother
How did
get
they
toasted.
get there so quickly? I'm really annoyed by this. It doesn't
What?
make sense, man. Daenerys can fly there, yes. But she left.
Dude, like again, you can't get caught up in the time. Like,
Why? Why
the
can't
time,
I
like
ask
how-
that reasonable question? They
it's-
were all just
okay,
at
you just have to-
Dragonstone.
Okay, they weren't just there though. You're
Danny
saying-
was. She was
Yes,
just there
I
in this
understand,
episode.
I get that, right? But then
And she flew on a dragon,
Okay.
and Tyrion did what?
they brought the Dothraki over on ships. Dragonstone is.
But
not-
so Daenerys just stayed at
Dragonstone-
home
Dragonstone-
until she needed to fly.
They
to meet
brought
up
their
with
whole
them?
army over, yes, and marched them all together.
But what I'm saying is, she didn't leave at the same time as the ships. That makes no fucking sense. She's on a dragon. She could
Okay.
get there in a quarter
yeah,
of the
she
time.
could, but she could. The dragons also flew with the fleet.
right
when they were coming
Do you
over, so-
think she did that? That's what you picture anyway.
Why wouldn't she just ride in the fucking boat and just get to the ground and then get prepared for battle and go to battle? They had to
I
get in
don't
ships
know.
and come over to the mainland.
Because of the way she was at Dragonstone in this episode, it felt like when John said she left, I thought she left. Just her. Like she left with the dragon and flew straight there. It didn't make sense to me that then now everybody else is there
They
too.
brought
Like,
everybody
what?
with. It's been however long it took for them to get there is how long in between
Okay,
scenes
time
there
is a
was.
thing I would love to know on this show, I
Yeah,
guess.
I think that we've decided a long time ago that you can't really you have to just assume.
No, I get that we're never
passage
gonna
of
get
time.
it, but it would be
Like
cool to
that,
know.
I think it was like one scene, like you said, they were in Dragonstone, and like the next scene, they were flying in on the dragon.
So
you just have to assume there was
presumably-
a couple of weeks in between
So
where they landed their armies, they organized them, and
So
then they
Jon
got rid
Snow's
of battle.
already been mining the stuff.
Yeah.
In this
Oh, yeah.
meantime,
Yes.
when Theon shows up, Jon Snow's been mining for a while.
I'm saying they've been there for weeks or a couple of months or something.
Okay.
Whatever. Yes.
Okay. Jamie getting PTSD in the war when he started seeing people being charred and stuff and on fire, and
Yeah.
he's getting flashbacks to the Mad King, or at least what he was thinking anyway. What he was thinking the Mad King was
We're
going to
in
do.
flashbacks and getting his hand cut off.
Well, but the people on fire is
Right.
more Mad King than, you know, what he rebelled against and killed. He gave up his entire reputation. I mean, he was fucking Cersei already, but he gave up his honor by killing the king, as he did. Dude, watch that Jamie Kingslayer video. Somebody put it together in the last since this episode. And piece together, I'll show you as soon as we're done here, and piece together all this beautiful story arc for him, and it's so good.
That's
People
not
have
true.
No, it's true.
Oh,
it's,
okay.
It's just showing stuff from the show, but it's like voicing over. They re-edited it. It's fucking awesome. I'll show you in a minute. So Braun almost hits Drogon with that big ass fucking spear thing, the metal
Right.
thing, and then he does hit him in the shoulder. I was gonna build up to who else seemingly got a superficial wound in their shoulder, but obviously that's Khal Drogo. So that's not quite as impactful as I was hoping it would be of a revelation there, because the point being that Drogon seemingly is going to be fine, but we also thought the same thing about Khal Drogo at the time. And Drogon is the namesake of Khal Drogo, or the opposite. I'm not sure how that sentence is supposed to work.
She named him.
You're not talking into the mic at all.
She named Drogon after Drogo.
Right.
Right.
That was what I'm getting at, basically. So he could die the same way that he did.
With a superficial wound to the shoulder and a
Superficial
poison,
shoulder
like,
wound and some
that could
sort
have been poison on it.
or not even
like,
poison.
why wouldn't Qyburn think of that?
It makes sense.
Yeah.
But what would he poison it with for a dragon? You know, and wouldn't he tell Braun? Because Braun was just handling it barehanded. You know, he didn't seem to be
Okay,
worried
so
about
that
it.
maybe even like makes it
Probably
seem like
not.
He wasn't. I mean,
Because he didn't care about the poison when he shot it into the fucking skull underneath. He was just talking about killing it. Like,
right.
look, it's
but
penetrable.
see, like if you really think about that, like how close he was,
right on it.
right
Yeah.
on it, and like he fired that thing from way far away. Like by the time it got
I just don't want to
Drogon-
dismiss it as a non-lethal shot.
No, it can be a lethal shot. Like if it hits him in the head, like that one did.
no, the one that he got.
Oh,
I don't want
right.
to dismiss that as a non-lethal shot because we sort of did that with Khal
Yeah,
Drogo.
you're right. It could be.
I just didn't want people to miss
Right.
that fucking connection potentially there. Drogon roasts and smacks the scorpion with his tail.
Just disintegrates it.
Dany tries to take the harpoon out, and then Jaime sees this, and he's thinking Mad King, obviously.
He's thinking I'm taking her down right now.
So he grabs a spear, and he charges through a puddle that becomes an ocean. And that's the end of the episode.
They were on
He
like
was
a,
fucking running through a goddamn puddle,
there was
essentially.
a river right there.
I know, but what river has 10 feet that's this deep, and then it drops off a cliff to 1,000 feet deep? Because that's what it fucking felt like. It was
he
so
sinking deep, but,
stupid.
like, no.
That part of it really annoyed me because it was like, get the fuck out of here. It doesn't.
Maybe that's what Robert
it doesn't
was
drop
talking
off
about,
like
like a-
this.
Yes,
it doesn't
can.
fucking go, this is the edge, the bank of it. So Jaime just knows how far he can run with the horse into it and to not go over the edge that just drops the fuck off 100,000
dude,
feet into the
you're-
into the ocean.
God, you're
Because he
so
was falling into
exaggerating so much.
darkness forever.
Dude, it can drop off to 25 or 30 feet.
But
Absolutely.
would you trust that? I'm just saying from a realistic point of view. Say you're Jaime, and you know that water does taper off at some point. Are you really going to trust riding through it?
Do you know that the water tapers off that point?
You can
dude,
see.
like they keep sinking into water. It could have been 10 feet deep. You don't know. You can't see the bottom. It's a river.
But it
murky.
but he's running and it's just splashing under the horse's feet. Like, would you trust that you were Like, okay, so maybe from his vantage point, you're saying he could look down and see there's a
There's the
bank
deep
here,
water, yeah.
and then but it just
Right.
felt like such a fucking retarded drop off.
I don't think that he
Doesn't
was
make sense to
thinking
me.
about that at all. He was thinking about putting
Right,
a
so
spear through
imagine if
Daenerys
he's running
Targaryen.
towards her, and the horse steps
Just fall-
over the
yeah,
fucking
and he
ledge.
just falls into the water.
It just falls.
Hey, the horse got fucking toasted anyway.
Right.
Both horses did.
I just that for some reason that minor
So during
thing really
that scene,
annoyed
Bronn
me.
does Bronn looks up at a white horse.
Was that Braun that
Yeah, I think
took
so.
out, that saved Jamie, or was that Dickon?
I don't know. Was he Dickon riding a white horse?
I don't know.
Because they were both white horses.
I'm not
And
sure.
Bronn looked up at a white horse
Just before that?
just before
Or the
that.
last Braun scene
Like the
we
last
saw?
Braun, the time you saw Bronn, he looked up at a white horse that was like by itself, like scared,
Oh, okay.
like he was gonna run up and get on it.
I love the way Tyrion was like, flee, you fucking idiot, flee.
Yeah. And then he starts running towards it. He's like, "You fucking idiot!"
Yeah.
His brother let him out. His brother has been the only one in his life that's ever like been really kind of nice to him. But then you think about back to the fake horror thing
Right.
that he married. That's pretty low
Okay,
shit.
so we've reached the end of the episode. There's a couple things that from Reddit on Reddit. The Hound is incredibly lucky that he's no longer fighting for the Lannisters. That battlefield must have been his worst nightmare.
The fucking fire everywhere. Yeah, he'd have ran.
Yeah, Littlefinger's face after Bran hit him with the chaos as a ladder callback is perhaps my favorite scene in the season so far.
What?
When
scene?
Littlefinger's face after Bran hit him with the chaos as a ladder callback is perhaps my favorite scene so far this season. Yes, Littlefinger had the intention of using Bran for his own gain, but when Bran mentioned chaos as a ladder, Littlefinger knew instantly that his plan was fucked.
That he knows it. He knows everything. He knows there's no way. The only two people that had that conversation were Varys and Littlefinger.
Right.
They were the only two people in the throne room when that conversation happened.
These are just kind of continuing
so
comments
that's
in
proof
that
right
thread.
there that Bran, even when he brings up the Sansa's wedding night, that's proof that he's been warging
Right.
and seeing
Yeah,
things,
absolutely.
and seeing everything. So that's why he's becoming more mechanical because he just keeps
Right.
doing it.
Now that he's not threatened by the
I
White
don't think he
Walkers at the
necessarily
exact
died in
moment.
that cave like she said.
No, but
It was
his
just a figure of
personality.
speech.
No,
But he wasn't
did.
like that right after that. He wasn't like that right after
But
the stuff with Benjamin.
no. But what she's saying is, when he went into that cave, he was 100% Brandon Stark.
Yeah.
After that cave, he was not.
Yeah.
That's it.
True. And now he's less and less.
Yeah.
You're right. I agree with that.
So the last time
but
he was
like
him
but
was
like,
there.
If that was the case, then like it would have been. It's a gradual process, I guess. It
Right.
could be,
but
it's
he
not
was
just
he
a
probably left the
flip
cave
of
as
a switch.
98% Brandon Stark.
Yeah.
And then it just has been degrading
Yeah.
since then.
Every time he
Because he
touches the
hasn't
tree.
learned the you can't stay away too long thing.
Right.
It'd be cool if that ended up turning into something. I would love to see that turn into something.
Like
he stays away too long. I don't want him to come back.
That gets
like
stuck.
Stacey gets
like
stuck.
he gets
yeah.
stuck. His Bran the Builder,
And then he shows up.
in, like the back, like
That'd
the
be
way
amazing.
Like and he's the one who builds Winterfell. Would be
Right.
super cool. Yeah.
So continuing on the Littlefinger Bran thing, these were just like indented comments on this. Bran is the hereditary and true heir to Winterfell, the only legitimate male descendant of Ned Stark.
Right.
Yep, Littlefinger doesn't really believe in the Night King, the Lord of Light, the Children of the Forest, or dragons. He deals with humans. So even when he was faced with some evidence that Bran isn't interested in being Lord Stark, he just assumes that is boyish immaturity or misplaced humility. It wasn't until Bran said chaos is a ladder that he understood.
Yeah. Yeah. Bran is something else now. He understands that at this point.
Right.
It's crazy. That one line is crazy.
So, I
Love
mean,
it.
that's all that I have written down as far as stuff to discuss. I can't think of anything else necessarily at the moment. If you guys see anything that we didn't talk about, I mean, I don't know how that's
Or
fucking
want to
possible.
discuss something that we didn't talk about?
Or anything from the show, going all the way back to season 1 that you
Yeah,
want
sure.
us to discuss, a
it's
theory.
all being brought back up now.
We will sit here and argue with each other for 20 minutes over magic. We will do it over any
Just
theory
the
you want us to
semantics
discuss.
of the word magic
I'm
was
still
really
not
what we were arguing about.
I'm still not clear on it. Genuinely, I'm not trying to be a dick, but I don't understand.
It's not clear in the show.
But
it's not clear.
there has-
There's
but I
not
bet
clear.
you-
those rules aren't clear.
That's right to us.
It's mystic. It's
You know
mystical.
how we know it
it's a
and Jon
mystery,
Snow
not mystic.
doesn't?
Mystery. It's
You know
a
how
mystery.
you know how we know Jon Snow's parentage, but he doesn't. The series knows,
the use
but
of
we
magic.
don't. The series knows the rules of magic
No, they
in that
don't.
universe.
I
The
don't think
series
they do.
does.
They don't. No, they don't. Magic is a mystery to them. It's not. They don't know the rules
No,
of
Game of Thrones as a whole, the George R. R. Martin is what
Oh,
I'm
you
saying.
mean the person-
series, the whole thing knows what it is and we don't. It's the opposite of the Jon Snow thing where we know and the character doesn't. They know, the people who wrote this, the person who wrote this knows the role of magic in this and what the
it.
rules of magic
I
are.
don't think it's that defined in the show.
No, it's not in the show, but the person who wrote it, the source
I
material.
don't think it's no. I don't. I think it was intentionally written as a vague.
Again, I'm
not-
saying this wrong. What I mean is the person who wrote it knows, and they're not telling us. That's what I'm meaning. He knows the rules of magic. George R. R. Martin, I fucking guarantee you, knows how magic can and can't be used in his own universe. That's what I mean. He's not telling us for whatever reason.
I'm saying that magic isn't one thing in his universe.
But we don't
You're
know
saying
what his
you're
rules are.
pigeonholing magic as one specific thing.
Right. He
And I
knows the
think-
delineation
like, here,
between the
way-
two different kinds, or
I'm
three
saying
or
that there's
five.
not. I'm saying there's not a delineation.
We don't have one.
I'm saying that he.
You don't
didn't
think he
write,
has
no.
one?
The
In
whole
his
thing,
mind?
the whole thing has been vague. The whole use of magic or these mystical things or these gods has all been vague. It's not been defined. It's not
But
been.
they didn't
they
tell
haven't
us
given
for-
us any rules on any of this shit, dude.
They didn't tell us till literally the season 5 finale before we found out that Jacob and Man in Black mattered or were real. They didn't tell us that because then we could have guessed something.
Okay,
I feel like he's holding back a piece of information in that regard. Is what I mean. He knows something that we don't. He knows plenty that we don't.
Yeah, obviously.
Right.
However,
I'm just saying he
I-
has
you're-
he has an
you're-
idea in his head of what that means. The difference between the Lord of Light and the blood magic of the witch. He knows the delineation of what the rules are.
Yes, okay, but you're never going to get him to say
No.
He's not going to say this is magic and this isn't
That's
magic.
what I'm saying, though.
He's not going to say that.
I agree.
You're not going to get that.
That's what I'm saying. But he knows. Somebody knows, and we don't. As the viewers, we don't get
I'm
it.
saying that he's intentionally making it a
Right.
vague overall thing. He's not making it to where it's defined that this is magic, this is religion, this is. It's not. It's all one.
I'm
and the
agreeing
same
with
thing.
you. I'm saying the same thing as you're saying. We're just saying it in different ways.
But you're saying that he knows that
He
there's
does.
defined roles. I'm saying that there's not. I'm saying he's intentionally leaving it
Okay,
like that. to where
I'm
it's a
saying I
vague thing.
think he does. I think George R. R. Martin knows the difference in those types of magic. What the lady that killed Khal Drogo inevitably, her limits versus what the Red Woman's limits are, versus what Daenerys's limits are. I'm saying he knows those differences. Whether they're ever going to tell us is up for debate. We'll find out. But
Okay,
but
what I'm
we
saying,
don't
there
know.
might be
We have
different-
no idea what
Okay, and I agree with you there. There might
That's
be
what I'm
differences
saying.
in all of those different things, but I'm saying that he would still refer to it all as magic.
maybe
That's
he
what I'm saying.
wouldn't.
That's what I'm
Maybe
saying,
we'll get that.
You're thinking of magic as too a defined term. Just it's all magical.
So it's the same as
Disney is
supernatural.
Disney is the magical kingdom.
But it's the same as supernatural in this world.
Yes, it's the same thing.
Anything that's not what we would consider realistic is
Right.
magic.
Dragons.
I hate
Dude,
that simplification of
see,
it all.
But see, that's why you don't like the word magic.
No. I love magic's fine. But it sounds like certain things. It doesn't sound like a coverall. That
But
sounds
see-
like plot
see, but-
bullshit
okay,
armor.
This is a
so
point,
that everybody
this is a
it can
point
just
that
be
I'm
anything.
trying to say through this
Okay.
whole argument.
I don't think we're ever going to find out. Is my point as well.
Okay, when I was spoiled on this show from season 1
About there
It's-
being dragons. Yeah.
yes, what that told me was there's magic in this show.
That it's a fantasy world.
There's magical. It's not. a
But there's
period
still
piece.
rules to that fantasy world.
I'm not saying that there's not rules, dude.
That's all I'm
just saying-
talking about is the rules of it all. Because to discuss things like ice dragons being plausible or not, we need to know the rules. I think George R. R. Martin is keeping some of those rules to himself in terms of what things can and can't be done, whether it's all magic or not.
Right.
But
That's
magic
fine.
means supernatural in the sense that we're discussing it.
I'm just using it.
Anything
as a
that's
term.
not human based,
magical. It's
anything that's not
magical,
quote unquote
mystical,
grounded in
supernatural,
reality.
godlike, all
Right.
of that shit. It's all
Just
it's
anything
all-
that couldn't
it's
happen
all
here in our Earth.
Well, yeah, none of this could happen here.
That's
except
what I'm
for the
saying.
medieval,
Anything like that is
medieval
what
pitch
you're
battle.
calling magic, and that's I guess the part that's making it hard for me to wrap my brain around
Right.
what the rules are of it.
And like I see, you want to put rules to everything. There's
I just
no-
need
like,
to
I
know
don't-
so I can try to figure it out. I can't figure it out if I don't know dead is dead or whatever happened happened. If I don't know that, then it could be one or the other. But if they tell me, then I know. I think that's why they held it so long and lost. And I think that's why George R. R. Martin is holding the rules of what, like, for example, when she brought Jon Snow back, we didn't know that she could do that.
We did know that.
We did know for a fact that she could bring a human being back from the dead.
We
Her
watched-
personally.
Not that her personally could do it, but we had seen it happen already. At that point, we had seen.
Was
Beric
it by a
Dondarrion
red
brought-
woman?
He was by the red priest Thoros of Myr. Yes.
Oh, he's a red man,
Yes.
for lack
Yes.
of a better
the red
term.
priest.
Okay,
Yes.
I didn't realize that he was a red thing.
Yes, he
Like
was
that
sent.
he's- so he's in
he
that
was
same-
sent by the high priestess of their religion or whatever
Okay.
it is to go turn Robert, the King Robert, away from.
And I
whatever
still maintain
idols.
that guy is to show us, to set the precedence for Jon Snow to be brought back.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
I think that was his entire purpose.
I don't think his entire purpose. No, we'll still. He's still.
m-
gonna serve
hopefully
some
there's
sort of
more.
purpose. Yeah.
But even if it was just
I mean,
that,
if that was just his entire purpose, then why is he still in the show?
well, when was the last time we talked to him?
His purpose. He's with the Hound right now, in this season.
We saw
Him,
we
Thoros
talked
of
to
Myr, Beric
them.
Dondarrion are all together.
Or,
Yes.
I mean, they've spoken on
Yes.
screen this season.
Yes.
I guess I
He
don't
looked
remember
into the
them.
flames and he was.
Oh yeah, but I think
That was-
that's
it was
to
maybe-
guide the
maybe
Hound.
Episode 1.
That
Yeah,
I
but then
think that's more of
more
guiding
than just
the Hound.
his purpose. Just the one purpose. You said that was his only purpose.
Right, to
was
show us what the Red
but now
Women
his
could do.
Purpose is guiding the Hound.
Right.
Okay, so he has more than just that one purpose.
I mean, I guess,
Right.
but I don't think he's going to be a player. I think his what I meant by his purpose was
They're
he was
north,
setting a
too.
precedent, much like the rules we're talking about here. He set a rule. He showed us how a rule could be broken. When you die, you can come back. That was his purpose in that sense. Like he was to show the audience that look, in this
gold-
world, somebody can be brought back from the dead, and then boom. So
They
when it
showed us
happens
the
later, you're
gun
not
and
like, what do you mean
they
somebody can
showed
be
us the
brought back
gun
from
and
the
then
dead?
fired it.
Right. Yes, that's what I'm saying by his purpose. I don't mean he
Right.
can't do anything else, but I don't think he's going to have a huge role
No,
going
you're
forward.
right.
He's going to be. He's setting. He's a precedent
He's
setter.
in a role with the Hound, which I think the Hound is going to end up playing a huge role in whatever ends up happening.
Where do you think the Hound ends up?
I don't know.
I mean, do you think we're
They're-
genuinely
I was
heading to
just saying,
Clegane Bowl?
They're north. I can't see it right now.
But why would they set that up for all those years? Like, I'm
I
just still
think
hopeful.
I really think it's a fan thing. Just like I think Ice Dragons is kind of a fan thing.
But I mean, they built up that rivalry between the two of them. He's the one who put his face in the fire, man. Like he has to get some revenge in that regard, doesn't he?
yeah, but he's let that go. I think. Like as far as his brother doing it to him, like I don't know. Or else
Okay.
he would.
And maybe it's not his brother anymore, so it doesn't really matter.
It's something else at this point. The mountain.
Right.
The mountain is a creature at this point, right?
Do you think if they stood face to face, that's what he'd think? Or do you think he'd still look at him as his brother?
Oh yeah, no, the hatred would still be there.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm saying is he's not carrying that around. Like that's not
Not
his
like it
purpose in
was.
life.
It was
like
his
is to get
purpose.
revenge on his brother for
Right.
burning his face. Like I think he. But the first time we saw the Hound,
You think that was over? Really?
Yeah.
He's
you
still
know what?
bitter for a while,
Yeah,
man.
but you know why though? Because when they fought, otherwise they were fighting in the first season. They were remember the jousting tournament,
right.
and they
Yeah.
fought a little bit,
And then
but
he
when
swung
Robert
at him
yelled,
when he-
and then
yeah.
he knelt down.
Yeah.
Like if you really want to
You
revenge,
think that's it?
wouldn't you just keep?
Didn't they just tease it though? Isn't that
that,
teasing
that's
their
Clegane
fight?
Bowl. That was. It's not even the right mountain. That's a whole different guy.
Right. But I mean, that's a hey, we're gonna in wrestling terms, that's a we're gonna have these two big star Brock Lesnar and John Cena go against each other, but we're gonna end the match in a nefarious way.
To where
Like
it
it's gonna
doesn't
get
finish.
stopped, so
Yeah.
there's no ending.
Yeah.
That's what it was. So that's a cock tease, man. We have to come back to them.
I don't.
Somebody's got
I
to
am
win.
not saying that it's impossible.
No,
but
I know,
I
but
think that.
I
like
hope
we
so.
had- there's a lot of traveling involved there. They're on opposite ends of.
But
the
apparently,
map.
travel doesn't fucking matter.
True enough. People
As
seem to be
you've
traveling.
told me, I don't get to
They-
be upset about
right.
them being magically on the other side of the world, even though one took a dragon and one took a ship. I mean, fuck. One's a 747 and one's a
But
ship.
see, but I explained that to you. The dragons flew along with.
I
the-
know,
the
but that's
thing.
just-
Like,
it's
why she's not riding from
one dragon.
She's not riding from Dragonstone straight into battle. They have to reorganize after they have to put all the horses on the ship.
Didn't she bring
all
the other
people
two?
on
Do
the
you
ships.
think?
Who?
Do you think there's? Why wouldn't she have brought the other two dragons?
Because of what Jon Snow said.
What?
If you start using them to burn cities and melt
But
castles,
that's not about burning cities or
but
castles.
it's just a small demonstration of power. This was not a. This was a demonstration. That's all this battle was her.
But doesn't that defeat
striking
what he
back.
was saying?
No, she didn't burn any castles.
No, I know, but
She didn't burn any castles or any innocent people.
right.
She burned a fighting force, an army. who
Right.
had just got done taking one of her friends' castles and killed a bunch of her friends' army.
Right.
Speaking of Olenna Tyrell,
Gotcha.
being partners with them at that
Right.
point, she didn't attack a city. She attacked an army out in the open.
Right.
That's not the
So
same
did
thing
she listen
as
to
going
Jon
to
Snow
King's
or not?
Landing and burning everything around King Landing
Well,
and
that
killing
doesn't even
thousands
make
of innocent
sense,
people.
right?
But that's what she wanted to do.
Well, because
She
she
said,
didn't-
"Why shouldn't I go to the Red Keep? My enemies are in the Red Keep. Why shouldn't I go there?"
Do you think that if she had waited, say, another couple, one more day,
They probably wouldn't have been there
right? So then she would have burned King's Landing.
or sieged King's Landing. I think she would have done the same thing.
You
that
think
Tyrion-
she would have come in there with a dragon and then been like, "Oh, let me park you over here, Drogon, and
Yeah.
I'll walk in."
No, you don't walk in during a siege.
Well, but you know what I
Siege,
mean. Like,
you park yourself outside the gates and you don't let anybody in or out. That way, there's no food, there's no supply lines, there's no food coming in or out, there's no money coming in or out. The
but they
city
would have had
dies
all
under
that
siege.
stuff.
All the people start turning on each other for food. People highborn, their money isn't worth
I
anything.
just think she would have. She would have ended if they had been
Bron explains
inside.
this in one of the episodes. He said, "You know what happens to a city under siege?"
No, I get
You
it.
know,
I'm
like-
just saying if they had made it in, she wouldn't have been able to do the display of power or the display of force, as you're
Well,
saying.
it would have just been a different story. She
What-
would have rode the Dothraki horde out and surrounded King's Landing, and that would have been her demonstration of power. Was like, your supply lines are cut off. Either give up, surrender, or burn.
Okay, when Jaime sent Braun to get more stuff, that was just preceding the Dothraki coming over the hill, so he didn't
No.
actually get to go.
That was in the first scene. He sent
Right, so
Bron.
that was a while ago then?
Yeah,
Oh,
they
because
were-
they left at
they were leaving
Highgarden.
Highgarden.
Right.
So they had traveled all that way. So,
So
think about that. That
so
whole
they had
convoy.
all of the stuff that they needed inside the walls in the scenario I'm pitching. I'm not trying to be difficult
so
here.
they have all the food.
If they have
so that she didn't
all the
burn
food and
right.
gold,
Yeah, so she could have been late.
so they could have been in there for a long ass
yeah,
time.
it could have been a long siege. Yeah. Then she loses her temper and goes in and starts burning
Right.
all the innocent people.
But do you think
I
what she did goes against what John said? Or do you
goes
think
against it?
Yeah.
No, I think it's taking his advice. She didn't burn a city. She didn't burn innocent people. She fought an army. She
He just
brought
made
her
it sound like
army-
if she used
she
the
brought-
dragons at all.
No, he said if you use your dragons to burn cities
Yeah.
and melt castles,
It just seems
It's just
very
more of the same.
judgy of her using the dragons at all.
he's.
You know,
I
it's like,
think he's
yeah.
telling her to be careful. You
Right.
don't want to come off like the Mad King.
Right.
You don't want to come off burning everybody. That's what he wanted to do. Fucking Tyrion explained it to her. The Mad King wanted to burn the entire city and kill everybody. You don't want to be him. You don't want to be your father. We have to end this podcast.
I guess that brings us to that point. Do you think that the Mad King genuinely wanted to burn everybody?
Yes.
You don't think we've talked about the Bran possibility? You don't think it's that he got driven crazy by the
Oh.
voices he heard, as opposed to literally wanting to burn everybody?
The voices. I mean, yeah,
But what if the voices were, like we said, Bran saying "burn them all," talking about the White Walkers, and he's talking to somebody else, but he's warging at the same time, or you know what I mean, like some scenario where
that's a good scenario. But
you're not talking to the mic.
That's a good scenario, but
Because it's going to be that. I'm telling you, there's no question in my mind that we're going to find out that the voices that Aerys Targaryen heard was Bran, trying to tell him, just like he was talking to his dad, just like he talked to Ned.
why Aerys Targaryen?
For some other reason. I'm telling he's going to end up saying the words "burn them all," but not be meaning what Aerys takes it as.
Yeah, I mean that could be. Yeah, I don't see that. That could be cool. Yeah.
I forgot why I brought that up, but
I mean,
my point was, do you think that Aerys did, like as a human, he was so evil that he wanted to burn them all? I know that he ended up doing something with, what did he do with Ned's brother?
Yeah, Ned's father and brother.
So he did something similar to what Cersei did, but burned them.
He took Ned's father,
Okay, and hung him or
Rickard
some shit.
Stark,
Oh, that's right. And
hung
then
him
something
from
with-
his armor.
That's the fucking Boone thing, where he ties his arm behind his back and he's got to get the thing to save shit.
Yes.
You know, that kind of a
That's
thing where you got
exactly
to go
what it
too
was.
far, but it kills him
His
and
father was
him.
burning alive inside of his armor under
Yeah.
the wildfire, while Brandon Stark
Was trying to get to his
strangled
sword or
himself,
whatever.
trying to get to the sword to free his father.
Yeah.
And it happened in the throne room.
Okay, so that, I guess we'll have to find out someday if that is pre or post the voices. To see if, what I'm trying to get to is
See, I
was
think he
Aerys
was-
a bad dude?
Yes.
Or did he
think
get
so.
fucked up by what happens with Bran potentially?
It could potentially be that, but
To
I
where
think
it's not
he was
his
already
fault.
he was already crazy.
Okay. I'm interested to see that. I want to find out more about Aerys Targaryen. You're not interested in him?
I'm interested. Yes, absolutely. Anything more I can get from this world is fine with me, but
Right. What?
don't necessarily think you're getting it. You've
No?
already seen Aerys Targaryen.
I mean, a fucking blip.
Yeah, I know, but you've already seen
You
it.
don't think we're gonna get the Bran is the reason thing?
No, what purpose does it serve now?
To fucking show that the Mad King wasn't crazy. He was hearing Brandon Stark fucking with him via warging and three-eyed ravening. That it was Brandon's fault is what you could take from it.
Okay, I guess. Yeah.
You know, because then that relieves him of some of the guilt or some of the responsibility. It's just an interesting concept to me that what if the Mad King wasn't the Mad King? What if that was Bran's fault? And, you know,
I mean,
then what does that mean
we've
for
seen it
Daenerys?
happen
And
one time already. Hodor was Hodor because of Bran.
so maybe they won't go to that well again.
That's what.
I guess
that's
that's a
kind of
valid
what I'm
point.
saying.
Okay. No, I
That's,
like that.
I just didn't really think of wording it like that, but they've already done it.
Yeah. Okay.
We've already seen the Mad King. We've already kind of known his story. We
But
know
what the fuck else would make sense for him to be burn them all, burn them all? That he would just keep saying it over and over again. Because he said for hours. Jamie said for the last couple hours he was just saying burn them all.
He was yeah.
It
See, maybe
sounds
at
like
that
something
point,
would make you crazy.
But why?
To be repeating a phrase like Hodor. I mean, come on, dude. Like, that's beating us in the face. He kept saying Hodor because hold the door. And so, it's something Brandon said.
It's okay. Then it's a purpose, or it's that
But
part of
what
the
is
story.
point? Yeah, I guess.
What maybe we're just missing it.
Yeah, how
maybe
does it
there
connect?
is- how does it connect to what's happening now? Is
Right.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just something we're not seeing.
Because what
And
if Daenerys
if
found
they
out her
do-
dad wasn't as
if they do-
evil? Does that help change anything?
Right, I don't know. If they do find that out, then it will be interesting. But like, they would have to connect it somehow. And you know what? They've been good at doing shit like that. So if it does happen, then yeah, I mean, it'd be awesome. I'm not disputing it or
Oh,
saying
no,
that it can't
it's
happen.
just-
I'm just saying it feels a little.
Like just
Like you said,
answers for the sake of answers.
Yeah, why would they go to that well again? Like you just said, like
Yeah.
they basically did the same thing with Hodor. Why would they do it again? But if it served a greater purpose in
Did
the
it
story,
make you feel any worse or any different about Bran? The
no, because he
Hodor
didn't
thing.
do it on purpose.
But he still did it.
But he didn't know he was doing it. He didn't know that was going to happen. He had no idea that
Fair.
the cross beams or whatever would happen. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole warging twice.
Oh, it's because
thing.
he warged into Hodor.
Twice. Saying he was like warging into Hodor and in the future and the past, and it created like a bridge that just destroyed his mind.
Oh, so because I'm sorry for rehashing this. I'm sure people are like,
Dude,
fuck off.
Seriously, like this is all we're
But it's I'm trying to figure out. So you're saying that he warged into Hodor at the time of the door, and because he was green seeing Hodor at the same time, he warged into Hodor while he was
Twice.
green seeing him?
Yes.
Okay.
Hodor saw him right before that happened. You remember he like looked over at him and like met eyes. So like,
Oh,
when-
so
that's when
the
Hodor,
fact that it
his
like
eyes
broke
turned white.
the
And that,
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? Like it was
Yeah.
two like beams
It's
that
not
weren't
exactly-
supposed to cross. And by the time when he saw Bran in the past where he wasn't supposed to see, it's like the beams crossed.
right. Then he
And,
saw somebody
you
that he
know,
shouldn't know but does because he's
and like all like I
present.
think all the
Yeah.
information from both
no, that makes
came,
sense.
came at him all at once and turned him into what he turned
Okay.
into.
Well, I mean, we could literally do this until next episode. So
No.
we're going to leave. If you have any questions, any comments on anything we said, anything stupid we pointed out or didn't, comment, add whatever you want, subscribe, blah blah blah. Where it's the fucking.
This is how to watch TV.
See you later.
Next week.
All these memories in my mind, my mind, my mind, my mind, my mind, my mind. I'm still a secret lemonade drinker.